It all depends on the success it has from the beginning. And I think the best that we can do as a community is not try to take the game down from the beginning, because then, yeah,
No, we need to prop
we're
it
gonna
up.
dig our
That's
own
why I've been
grave.
saying I'm in the boat where I feel like we should actually, as a community, try to, I don't know what the right word is, fundraise or try to create some kind of advertising campaign so that when we launch, if
Yeah,
they don't have the budget, we could maybe pay a streamer or something.
Yeah.
I think there's like connections that we have. There's a lot that we could do as a community. It doesn't have to be. There's many funnels we can think about, but I know that's not what's on their forefront right now. They're building their go-to-market plan as we speak, and these play tests, they had a little bit of a bump from the beginning of the first play test or two, where they had different articles written about it. They supported them by giving them videos and assets and leveling up their Steam page and adding and asking the community for some good footage versus creating their own, right? They're doing their own things, which I think they're doing decent for an early playtest. And that's Prophecy's model too, is where they go, we want to build a game alongside the community fairly early on, versus many other developers and game studios don't do that. And I'm not trying to defend Prophecy, that's just the fact, is they start really early in the process, and then people get scared from it. I have my hesitation of first impressions go a long way. And if my first impression was playtest 2 weeks ago, I might not even give it a chance ever again. So you got to be very careful on how you develop that kind of shit. But I do know that they're not yet ready to go live. And so to judge what the game's at today isn't fair, because we haven't been able to put a proper go-to-market plan and getting the right people involved. I'm sure they can get some good streamers streaming the game. You got people like Co-Carnage, who's just playing it naturally because he loves tribes.
I jumped on his stream, by the way.
Yeah, dude, he's into it. It's so much fun to watch other people into it, and he doesn't even talk to chat. He's laser focused, moving his head to grab the flag.
Yeah, I played 70 hours and I love it. My impression is I had fun the whole time, and I'm super positive. I just want the community to like remember that when you're being negative, try to just look at positives. Try to look at stuff that's good about the game instead of complaining about all the things that are negative.
I looked at Steam. I have about 32 hours of Tribes played. You said 70?
Yeah, I hit 70.
Crazy.
How many you got, Fish?
I got 20.5, and I feel like I played nonstop, and my arms, my wrists hurt, dude. Ouch. I'm just not. I don't game like this anymore, so it's new to me. But I will say, dude, shout out to you, Zio. I love your mindset. I love your approach. I think it's 100% understandable and justifiable for people to have a lot of strong opinions, and we should be giving our feedback as much as we possibly can right now. There's nothing wrong with giving your honest thoughts and feedback, but I'm of the same boat. I think we all had so much fun this week. Even the most curmudgeonly, grumpy Tribes people out there, I think most of them had a lot of fun this weekend, and the fact of the matter remains that Prophecy is improving this game massively every single week. Without a doubt, every single week the game has been 20% more fun than the previous week. I'm very optimistic. And to your point also of like, how do we as a community band together? I don't think we as a community need to band together and raise a fund to get Ninja to play the game, but I think we as a community can band together to produce great content, to help each other out, to share and retweet and upvote and watch all of each other's videos all the way through. I know I've been basically watching every single YouTube video I can find about Tribes 3 and watching it to the end, giving it an upvote. I'm trying to help the algorithms promote that shit. I think there's a lot that we can learn from other gaming communities that have effectively elevated themselves to be bigger than they have an outsized presence on social media. I'm a big esports fan, and games like Rocket League and games like Smash Bros, even Smash Bros Melee, obviously the big tournaments do get good viewership, but not insane viewership, but it's in the conversation when anybody talks about esports. I completely agree that we as a community, if we really want to see this game succeed, then we should put our time and effort into doing that and rally together. So I hope that happens.
This is our chance, and after so many reboots and so many failures, I feel like this could potentially be the one. I don't know. Maybe this is what takes Tribes to a mainstream, where we actually get a player base that's more than the same 40 guys from my childhood that are continuously playing every
Let's hope so,
game.
dude. Let's hope so.
Think about Tribes Ascend. I'm pretty sure that was the most successful Tribes from a public standpoint, but also from a financial standpoint. I don't think it made money, but I don't think it lost money either. And from Tribes 1 to Tribes 2 to Tribes Ascend, you had a growing player base. And I think that's the natural tide of like how games, and back when we had Tribes 1, some people didn't even have PCs in their home at that point, right? Or you barely had an internet connection, right? Fast forward to Tribes Ascend, it became a lot more mainstream, and we were in an FPS heavy state in the industry, or at least it was getting into MOBAs too. But now we're in the gamers are more than ever existing. So if we're able to get this in front of people that's never played Tribes before, let's exclude all the current Tribes players, but just getting it in front of other gamers. The first thing I get every time I show people this, actually, I'll let you guys say, what do you think the first thing people say when they see Tribes for the first time?
Holy shit.
It's fast. It's I don't
like,
know.
It looks
I don't
like
know, man.
Halo. It looks like Halo is what I get every
Yeah.
time.
Really?
The maps do.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Fix said it too. Yeah,
Yeah.
every time it just looks like it, and that's not a bad thing because Halo's not a bad game. It's something. It's relatable. I think for people to try a game, they need something that attracts them to it. And if it looks like Halo, that's not a bad thing. Do I think Tribes is going to be the next big FPS? Probably not. I could feel confident it's not. I hope I'm wrong, and we could try our best. But I do think it could be bigger than Tribes Ascend. It could be more successful than Tribes Ascend because there's a chance for it to be monetized better. Maybe this is another topic. It being $20 versus a free to play game does not scare me. I actually think it's a good thing for various ways. There's pros and cons. It's not a slam dunk. But if you're giving me a full game for $20, that's not a lot of money, and I get everything in the game and not have to unlock weapons and such, and everything inside the game is cosmetics, which I see people buying those cosmetics on top of the $20. You're going to make more money with that game that way than it would be if it was free to play.
Yeah, plus it's a gatekeep for cheaters. Every free-to-play game has the same issues, and you got to have that barrier of entry. So at least when you ban a guy, he doesn't come back so easily.
Yeah, exactly. It does detract cheaters. That's like a big plus to it, and it's a good way for you not to put a paywall in front of things that people would want, such as a better weapon that does more damage. You either unlock it or you can pay to unlock it. Capes, emotes, jet trails. Charge me to have a custom tribe.
I don't care. I'm a 40-year-old man at this point that I got a job, and you give it to me, and I'm just gonna plug my credit card in and I'll just keep clicking buy. Like, just keep giving me skins every month, and your board of directors are gonna be happy, and this game will live on.
I like how we're like, oh, we're gonna do a feedback forum review. We just joined the chat and we have this excellent conversation with Zio.
So I personally feel I feel like when Tribes Ascend came out as a so-called veteran, I hated it. I hated all the changes. It was a complete remake. And personally, I hated it. But I did see that there was a value because it brought all these new players in.
Yep.
That I think that as Tribes guys, we can't complain that we're not getting the same game because we've been getting the same game. We currently are, playing these reboot versions and nobody's playing it. Like, we need to find a way to let these guys in so that we have a player base. And I think that we need to allow these guys to, give us something fresh and new. And
a big part of that experience, Thursday when the game came out, the latest playtest came out, I had a coworker who I play games with over a decade, but never played Tribes because it's been over a decade since I last played Tribes, really. And I was like, please give it a shot. I'd love for you to get into this game with me. First thing I had him do was go to ski trials. I was like, get your feet wet on ski trials. And I shit you not, I think it helped tremendously. Because when we joined a 12v12, I saw him right out the gates, hold down spacebar, down a hill, up a hill, jetpacked. I was like, when does somebody who first played Tribes do that in their first CTF match? They don't. So I think tutorials, or at least a good starting point for new players, is critical. You play the finals. I can only say this because that's the game I played recently that was brand new. They put you in the most simple tutorial, but at least they put you in a tutorial that, as a new user, I could play around and learn a lot in 5 minutes or less. Or if I was a pro user and it's my third account, you could just hit escape and leave tutorial, right? Having something in the beginning for someone to get their feet wet in core mechanics like skiing and jetting, huge, important. We need a little bit more than ski trials, but that's a good starting point.
Yeah.
The next thing is how to make the game sticky. You play enough CTF, you can get bored of it. If you're not a Tribes player that's just like geeking out on trying new positions, figuring out what's broken or how to maximize on the blink pack, what's keeping you from queuing and queuing? Dailies, weeklies, leaderboards, or hey, you got your 10th MA. Congratulations, you unlocked the golden spin fuser. Just like really sticky things for people to just sign on and say, I'm playing because I need to do my dailies, like any other game, right? But Tribes has very unique ways to have that, but we never had it in previous tribes, even Tribes Ascend.
Yeah.
So
We never had
I think it's a lot
matchmaking in Tribes Ascend.
That's another one. That's right. Like being able to chase the top 100 dream in a tribes game sounds fucking awesome.
What are your thoughts on inventories and like spawning in a loadout versus going to an inventory like traditional tribes? I have this thought, and I mentioned this to a few other people, and I got a lot of pushback for it, but as a young guy who played Tribes 1, Tribes 2, I remember like getting friends to join the game. And when you had that noob friend that joined the game, what did you tell them to do? Hey, repair the generator, repair those, set up some turrets, put up those force fields. That was like something that those noobs had to do. And I do feel like as we've gone over the years, we've removed a lot of that original gameplay. And I know that as a player that is like a high skilled player who plays proper tribes, I understand why we removed it. But I think we are out of touch when we think about like why it was there in the first place and who it was there for. I think there was a certain subset of people that was their entryway into the game, if you will, to repair the generator. And currently I don't feel like there's any reason to even have a generator.
There does need to be more to what's given today for generators to feel needed.
At the same time, it's still giving these new players something to do, while also not being overly strong. So I don't actually mind it too bad.
I don't mind it. I just want more. I think it'd be great to have. I actually can't think of what else could it be. Like I think Blitz was the one that was credited for. If the gens are up, you get a spawn that's closer to your base or something. That gives a mechanism that gives the team a benefit for having the gens up. But yeah, having something other than the flag as an objective, period, has been great. And then the new map with the indoor part to it, that's the first indoor gameplay we've seen in Tribes 3. And on the talk show, Tribal Banter on Tuesday, that was brought up, and I was like, holy shit, yes.
Yeah, I think Blitz hit the nail on the head when he said that. With the flag inside, man. And this playtest, I noticed, it was strange. Like, I don't even know what that map is called, like Katabatic maybe, with the big towers. And I was in that bottom gen room, and there was 3 heavies down there protecting the generator, repairing it, and I'm like,
that's tribes for a lot of people. That's tribes for a lot of people.
Like, to me, it was like these guys are trying to relive that feeling.
Yeah,
and
Crow.
There's really no reason for them to
interesting.
even
I'd love to talk to you more on the dailies part. Hate to talk over. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I thought I muted. But no, somebody in my chat was questioning dailies, and I was like, why wouldn't you want dailies? And maybe in its current state in the game, it doesn't make sense. But anyway, back to what you're saying. I call it Bella Omega. I think that in Tribes Ascend, that was that structure. They basically took that. But just seeing people going after the generator down there and spamming it, and I'm trying to cap and all, it does make me feel like, as you said, Fish, that's just tribes. Those 12v12 pubs, I thought I wanted 5v5 because I'm like, I want to play competitively and shit.
Same.
Maybe 7v7, keep it small. But when 12v12 came out, I was like, oh, this is so much a better experience, and this is coming from the guy that wants to play competitively.
Yep. Agreed.
I agree.
Adam, do you want to start looking at some forum posts?
Sure. I don't mind going through forum feedback posts or just random things that pop up. Like, I might look at something, and like a question that first came up was like around the chain gun in the light. A lot of people, before I was able to touch the game, they're like, oh, the light chain gun sucks, it's not worth it. I beg to differ. I ate that mindset, but then I used it a lot. Every time I was chasing, if someone had 4 shots left in them, I'm whipping out the chain gun to hit those 4 shots. Oh, you have to be super close to them. Good, because I don't want the game to be like you have to chain someone from a distance. I feel so good with the game right now where it's more about honor than it is about chaining and sniping.
I agree. I think the chain gun, that's exactly what it's for. It's for those last 2 ticks. That's all it's for. So the last 2 ticks on the capper, that's what it's there for. Yeah, T1, T2 days, we had the guys with the chain gun that could destroy a full-blown heavy in seconds, but maybe we can do without that.
Yeah, I think this is an example of you need to do your best as a tribes veteran with 25 years of experience to change or at least be open to new, because in my head I'm thinking chasing is too hard, rabbiting is too strong, the light chain gun is too weak. But we were playing yesterday or the day before yesterday, and somebody was just like, none of the like shooty gun bullet guns, none of the snipers, none of the chain guns feel oppressive in this game, and maybe that's a good thing. And I'm like, yes. Actually,
I think I said that because 100%. That's it. I realize when I'm capping, I don't fear getting a random snipe in the head and be like, oh, that tailspin got me again.
TA. TA feels, dude. Oh, man.
Or O sniping, or just getting chained. Like when I was playing Tribes 2, I show up at an enemy base for a flag standoff, and I get chained down before I can even make a shot. I think the chain gun was in a good spot for me, where it was better than the other two weapons I had before the chain gun. What was it, bolt launcher or a shotgun or a pistol? Pistol's really hard. It's good, but it just doesn't feel... It feels good when you kill someone, but it's really hard. And maybe I have to practice more, but that's the problem, is it should be a little bit easier to use a weapon like that, or at least a chain gun made me feel like I was being a little bit more effective, even though it was doing like 30-40 damage per tick.
Yeah, I do think that they're like, I don't know if I like the pigeonholing they're doing with the classes, where kind of forcing you into these guns. I guess I'm okay with it. Like, I'm okay to try something new, but I do feel like that other slot is almost wasted. Like, I don't really use that third gun. I almost want to get rid of it. Like, wish I could not select it.
Yeah, I do think it would be interesting, and maybe I think I'm just guessing, like the loadouts are just more, let's just keep adding stuff. Let's just keep adding stuff. Then it is like, it's not a final UI. We can't save loadouts. We can't adjust loadouts or this and that. I feel like that's a later thing. It's just like, here, just try these things. I'm forcing you to use these weapons, versus if people are customizing their loadouts today, then maybe they don't get enough feedback on things. That's a guess.
Yeah, I'm with you there. A lot of guys were complaining about removing egocentric and stuff, and I'm like, I don't think you guys realize this is an A/B test. They did that because they're trying to force us into these other packs.
Yep. No, that's right. A/B testing, exactly. I hope there is room for customizing my loadout, no matter what the weapon slot is. Let me put disc on 3 for whatever reason. But I do think it's helpful that they have simple loadouts, where it's like, hey, new user, here's 3 classes. These are the default loadouts. This is if you cap. This is if you chase. What's chase? You'll learn, but at least you have a loadout that if you learn chasing, you got your hand held. There's a place for that, but allow me as a user to save my own loadout, to adjust it to be what I want it to be. Which then they already mentioned that this game is going to be so customizable for us to define the game that we want to define, especially for comp.
It's going to be a blast.
I can't wait for
All right,
private
do
servers.
you have a feedback thing that you want to go into?
No, I haven't looked yet. But
All right, I have it pulled up.
Yeah. Oh, for your stream, by the way, Adam, you could, on Discord, if you open the window and press Control and then the plus button, you can make the text a little bit bigger. Might help the stream viewers read what you're looking at a little better, especially if they're on mobile.
Fuck the viewers, man. This is all about me. Sorry, guys. I don't mean that. Especially the subs.
But yeah, we could literally just go from the top to the bottom if you want.
Yeah, I was originally thinking let's just go top, bottom, and just say, do we want to talk about this or that? Or now I'm thinking once we get rolling on a topic, we're going to freaking...
We could...
do it. So.
How many hours you got? Because we haven't even started yet what we were planning to do.
That's the thing, is like we didn't even plan much. We just said, let's just get on stream and talk.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of good conversation in your stream chat right now, too.
Yeah. No, Discon 3 does not sound fun. There's going to be someone that has it, and it's going to be someone that I least expect it from, like Blitz or something. Where it's, oh yeah, I put it on 3 because I want to spawn with a chain gun. I don't fucking know. I can't defend it. But there's going to be that weirdo that does it.
People used to spawn with or in midair, people like spawning with the grenade launcher for when you spawn. If you're like playing Home D or something and you want to get a grenade on the stand fast as possible, then you might spawn that way. Yeah.
But yeah, I just want good conversation. And yeah, I want to make sure I said the name. But yeah, Zio, you've been bringing a lot of good third commentary to this, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries, man. I'm a tribes guy, right? But I'm a polar opposite than the comp scene, and I think that the scene needs me to voice these things, because I'm coming from this other side where I was like this Havoc player that like played this other type of tribes, and I think that, I don't know what the right word is, but I do feel like if we want this game to have real population, we need to find a way to get these noobs in. We need to find a way to get new, fresh players, because I guarantee the same guys are going to be here. That's a given. No matter what tribes game you make, we're here, right? We need to get someone new. That's the main key here. I put my 2 7-year-old girls in this game, and my twins, and they were playing and having a blast. And as soon as the playtest is down, they're complaining about it. They enjoyed it, and not only did they enjoy it, but they were in the 12v12 lobby with all of you guys, getting absolutely destroyed, and they still enjoyed it.
Still had a smile on their face. Okay.
Yep.
That's great to hear.
I was watching montages this morning. I was casting them onto the TV in our bedroom, and my fiance was like, "What? That shot was insane!" Tribes transcends.
Disc on 2. Okay. I could see Disc on 2 more than 3, but it's still going to be 1 for me. Disc 1, Grenade Launcher 2,
I
Chain Gun
mean,
3.
I feel like in this game, even more than any other Tribes game, disc on 1. It's like disc launcher, and then you have a couple other weapons that you can mess around with, but it's really just a disc launcher.
One of my problems with games is I still use scroll wheel to change weapons.
Same.
Which doesn't always work in my benefit, because if I need to change the 3 and I'm on disc and I change the grenade launcher and now I'm just fumbling by scrolling and all, I got to use the numbers better. I have to be disciplined more.
I just want the scroll wheel to work, but that's I'm sure they'll fix it.
Sometimes I can't change my weapon, and it makes me mad.
Yeah, sometimes
It's always when it's most important. It's like that critical moment, but it'll get good. And I think that, like I said, I think we just need to be positive, you guys. Let's try to pick out the things we like about this game. Let's try to pick out the things. Yeah, we don't need the same game over and over again. So it's okay to be different.
Behind you right now.
Pretty much. I'm so freaking, I don't know, I love this game so much that it's like a Christmas miracle, I feel like.
Yeah.
It felt good for me on Saturday when I woke up, got a cup of coffee. I was like, hey, I'm going to play a little bit of Tribes. And I load up, and I think it was when I was hanging out with you, Fish, maybe, or maybe it was Blitz. And I'm like, God, it feels good. Like, I'm just looking at the home screen. It says, click here to log in. I'm like, I'm looking at a new Tribes right now.
Hell yeah.
This feels so good.
And we have the finals at the same time. Like, we have two amazing movement shooters that came out on the same day. Like, it feels good to be a sweaty movement shooter fan who's played every niche game with movement over the last 25 years. It's good times.
Yeah. All right, here's one. I think it's towards the top of the feedback. I see Blitz just loaded one. He just hot off the presses from Blitz. We're going to get to that one next. BXT on light. All right, yeah, let's get into this.
Oh, also the side of your screen is getting cut off. Just
because I have the scroll. You're a little tricked in it.
No.
I know what happened. I know I know OBS.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I have a little black box.
I'm saying all this because I'm actually just capturing your stream on my stream. So.
All right, I have a little black bar on the bottom. For some reason, it's because I think I'm streaming at 1080.
Yeah.
But my
that's
screen
fine.
is at 1440.
That doesn't matter. You're good.
Yeah. Whatever. I'll fix that later. Just learning new things. I'm not a streamer until today. Perks. Let's go on that one because I think that was interesting and something that I actually complimented from last playtest of this one. By the way, I think a lot of people are going to see from me. I'm always more on the optimistic side. I'm just not a negative Nancy. I'll have things to bitch about, don't get me wrong. And then when someone brings up a good point, I'll listen to it and I'll agree to it. But off the bat, I'm always enjoying what I have and make the best of it. Fuck the grenade launcher, by the way.
I was about to say grenade launcher? Much?
Yeah, fuck the grenade launcher. But the perks, I like how they're able to merge like the chasing perk. Instead of you being like, oh, do I want egocentric or do I want rage? Rage is good for this, but now the flag chasing one feels like it's what I want. In fact, I might even cap with it. And then the capper one, you want the flag capper one, which I think helps the new user to be like, oh man, what perk do I need? What do I need to use? I think we reworked it into a more usable state for everybody. Though I see people's comments on it feels like a band-aid. Like, why are we having these band-aids, quote unquote, to be what the game should be organically? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, this is the number one discussion point that I've been talking about on my streams, that I talked about in my YouTube video, that frankly that we've seen on the feedback forums. It seems to be bubbling up and elevating into the top level of the conversation more and more. It just feels like between Tribes Ascend and Tribes 3, the philosophy for balance with high res, aka prophecy or / prophecy, has been, rabbiting is a big problem, so let's just add flag drag. Or we don't want people to go too fast, so let's just add a speed cap. Or chasing is too hard, so let's give them a rage perk or a chaser perk, instead of just fundamentally fixing these issues with the physics themselves. The game is still a lot of fun, but I think what all these band-aid fixes on top of band-aid fixes does for me is make the game feel less intuitive and just a little bit jerky and janky when previous Tribes games are very smooth. You understand the core physics and you utilize them. You don't need to change your perks. You don't need to have all these little tweaks to different armors and different classes. And the chain gun for light does less damage than the chain gun for medium, which does less damage than the chain gun for heavy. And it's all these little things that you need to learn when it feels like, why fix what wasn't broken in previous Tribes games? Like I've said, I think this is the ultimate example. The chaser perk of getting a free disc jump. Well, why not just make a single disc jump give you a lot more propulsion? That's how it was balanced in every other Tribes game before this. I don't know. I feel pretty strongly that the design philosophy of let's just add this extra perk, or let's just make it so when you're skating on the ground, you get more more jet fuel regeneration than when you're in the air, and like or let's have 5 different kinds of disc launchers or 5 different kinds of chain guns for the different armors. Like it's more to learn, it's more to understand, and it feels just to me, just to be honest, it feels a little bit sloppy. I don't think it's a deal breaker for me, though. I wish that things were a bit more consistent, so it's more intuitive, but I think it can be done in a way that is balanced. I don't know. What do you think?
I personally, my 2 cents on that is I would like to see the T2 selection menu where you had like sniper, engineer, and heavy offense, and it set up those classes for you, but you could rename them and you could change them, right? So that way new players coming in, they're like, oh, I want to be a sniper. Boom, the perk's already selected. Oh, I want to be a capper. And then they don't have to really think about it, but they can still adjust it if they want to.
You're speaking loadouts than you are perks. Like Fish's argument
Well,
is like,
I hear you with the
perk.
but right. And so I guess what I'm saying is that like when I hear your take on it is that it's like, you know, for new guys, how do they know which perk to pick? How do they know how to set these? Like it's like you said, it's muddy and like it's just a mess. But I feel like as long as they characterize each one for people a little better, and I think they've done that by changing the names of them to Flag Chaser, and it helps a bit. But I think I guess what I'm saying is I think UI changes are gonna fix like people on what perks they pick. But
Sure.
I think the perks have a lot of room to grow yet, and it's
For me,
it does seem weird sometimes. Portals.
I wouldn't die on the hill for perks. So just to be
Yeah.
clear, I'm kind of used to it because of TA. But think about, I'm not a Call of Duty player, but I'm pretty sure Call of Duty has things like perks, right? Where you can hold another grenade or you can run faster, right? Tribes is a lot more physics heavy because of how much verticality and speed and all you can get versus run and gun. But I don't think perks is terrible. I don't think it's bad for a new user either. I think what you're saying, Fish, is a lot similar to what Fixie said, is like change perks to packs and make it more generic where you pick a shield pack or you pick an energy pack. Do you want to go cloak? Do you want to go shield? Do you want to go energy? You can choose whatever armor class you have versus it being you are light, you are stuck with these things. You have to pick this perk or that perk to make your role work. I'm indifferent. If you want to put the I play tribes and only tribes hat, then get rid of perks and let's build it more customizable in like how we had it in previous ones. I'll wear that hat. But I also don't mind this other hat I'm wearing, which is this is more like Tribes Ascend in modern day games. I don't think it deters. It makes it. I was about to say it makes it easier for users with perks, but it doesn't necessarily. I think it's the same in some way or another. Where if you give people packs and the customizable loadouts, like what you're saying, Zio, or if you give people perks and they have to figure out what class they're playing or what role they're playing and they have to pick the right perk, they're trades. There's no perfect solution here.
I actually appreciate the move that they made in this most recent patch to tweak the perks so that they're more for a specific role. But for me, I'm like, I almost feel like there's 2 diverging paths. One is the original Tribes path of super consistent physics. You change your loadout based on what you want to do. You tweak it over time, whatever. The other path, which maybe they'll just end up going this way, which is more of the just pure Tribes Ascend path, or even more of the hero shooter path. Maybe there should just be a chaser class that automatically gets a free disc jump. Maybe there should just be a capper class that has reach. To me, that's basic. Essentially, that's what the perks feel like. If you're going to be a chaser, you basically you choose the chaser perk 100% of the time. If you're going to be a capper, I know Slush was really into using the chaser perk even when he was capping, so he could get rage and an extra disc jump. But honestly, like between the less flag drag and the reach perk and just all of that, like you choose capper. I'm with Adam. I'm an old school Tribes player. I prefer the old school way, but I'm not going to die on. I don't think this is a hill worth dying on, because as long as the gameplay is balanced and fun and varied, I'm going to be happy. So I wouldn't mind seeing it split out into 7 or 10 or 20 classes, and maybe you add more classes over time. Blink, for example, we saw some insane videos come out in the last day from DeSolo, who was using the Blink pack in a way that I've never seen any other capper use it. And my old Tribes gut is like, ugh, Blink pack, that's not pure. It doesn't feel right. It seems overpowered. But then I see that video and I'm like, maybe we should be giving players more and more crazy tools. If this game goes well and it's a live service game, maybe we have a grappling hook, maybe we have blink packs, maybe we continue to have teleporting. We have more and more crazy mechanics that build up as long as they're balanced and build up the game in a to be more interesting over time, and that would be pretty cool.
As you said in the show, like, give me the grappler hook. Let me grapple the flag and pull it towards me or something.
Yeah.
Try this random.
What if there was a healer in Tribes? I was like, what? Obviously, Mercy is a very controversial topic in Overwatch, but imagine if there was a class that you see, if there's a friendly teammate within range, you can just fly straight to them and start healing their ass like Mercy. That would be sick. Think about all the crazy team play opportunities that something like that might give you.
Yeah, like me and you were capping together, and I got the heal thing on, and I'm just like, we have to land the same route together for me to be able to heal you the whole time. Like, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, bring the chaos. Like the blink pack. If you put on your hardcore Tribes pants on, like, you're not liking it because it's not what Tribes had, and like, give me Tribes. But I really want to, bring the chaos, bring the ruckus into the 12v12s. 5v5, we can mold it out. There's so many things. Again, I'm giving Call of Duty as an example. I'm not a Call of Duty guy, even though I'm wearing these CDL headsets. It's they ban so much shit for competitive. In the casual world, a shit ton of people play Call of Duty, right? They love the chaos. They love all the crazy shit they get out of it. But in comp, a lot of it's removed because it's too chaotic. It's not the gameplay they want. And we could go down the same route. We have a small player base on the comp side. We want to grow the bigger casual base, so we need to allow for it. I'll turn up my mic if that's the case.
Yeah, you sound a little bit better already.
Yeah, I have to move closer, but I can pick it up too. I'm down to move on to, and Blitz just muted and deafened himself, so maybe we save that one. What he's saying is what we could do to make light armor better. I want to go into it because he says something that I don't agree with, and so we can ping pong. Oh, Blitz,
Wait,
you
what
are here.
don't you agree with, bitch?
What?
You want to try again? You don't talk to me like that in front of my stream.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Save that for the DMs. No.
Oh, great and wonderful APC. What is it that you disagree with?
Thank you, sir. Next time. Impact Nitrons on light. I don't want that.
Dude, I'm of the camp that Impact Nitrons just need to be completely reworked to make way more skill-based.
That's fair. That's fair, but that's a totally different conversation. And I tend to agree with both of you in terms of redesigning the Nitrons somehow. I don't really have an answer, but I did think about this, and maybe I'll make another thread for this. But what about if the Nitron acted more like the AP nade, and it had a relatively long timer where you had to actually aim it and time it rather than just...
So let's talk about what is the problem with Impact Nitron instead of who's it go on. To me, it's too easy to knock the flag out of somebody, right?
Yep.
And if you give it to me on light, it's even easier for me to knock it out of somebody, whether it's on the stand, it's chasing them, it's on a standoff. I see a place for the Nitron in some capacity, but not in its current state. It's just, it's a buzzkill in a way. I think that's the best way to put it.
It's so frustrating.
You feel like you've been robbed when it happens to you.
No, you definitely do, and I don't disagree with that. But let me at least outline like why it's necessary right now, because it is necessary. If somebody grabs the flag and they're light, and they're heavy, and I'm chasing in light, I can't kill them. I literally can't get the flag back. It's pointless, right? That's overpowered as shit because you could just walk the flag, and if you have a light chase, the light chase is totally useless.
Sure.
Yeah. I can see that.
No, I get it. And so I think that's the right route for us to go down is how do you fix Nitrons? Because where it's at today is not it. The radius is freaking huge. It's easy to hit somebody even if you don't hit them. So is it reduce the radius? Does it need to be a direct hit? Like maybe it acts like an explosive Nitron where it does a decent amount of damage. So you're able to do like a disc, then a grenade pound, and then you did a lot of damage. Or if you directly hit them, it blows up on them impact, so it's like a blue plate special, but instead the flag gets tossed out too. Maybe it's a time thing, like you said. So if a capper that's rabbiting's way up in the air and then drops and you throw that perfect Nitron and it has a bigger radius than what I was suggesting initially, then it drops the flag or something. What else we got? Because I think that this is the right road.
Give us a shock lance that makes you drop the flag, but you have to be super close up. Like that would feel fairly felt.
That's Sonic Punch right there.
Yeah, Sonic Punch, sure. But also to your point, Blitz, about this is exactly to our previous discussion point of band-aid fixes and things that make things possible. Yes, a light cannot duel a heavy in this game, but maybe they should be able to. They've been able to. Heavy has the advantage, but you've had at least a fighting chance in previous games. You know what the difference is? The disc launcher does less damage with light armors. The chain gun does less damage if you're light armor. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in addition to that, the energy pool is actually contributing to that problem probably more than the damage,
100%.
right? Because
Heavy is
against
way too fast. That's
Yeah.
the issue.
I think Fire released a video where he showed him and somebody else just standing still and jetting straight up. One of them in heavy, one of them in light, and it's like the light was literally only one armor length above the
Oh,
heavy at the
wow.
peak of that. That means that they really don't have an advantage in energy at all.
Sure.
Actually, they only have an advantage in speed. I agree. The reason that they can't kill them ever, because in previous tribes games you could kill them sometimes and generally only if you were really good, but it was possible. Here it's not even possible, and I think what would make it possible, yes, the weapon balance, yeah, that'll probably do something about it, but the energy pool will be the big thing, because that allows you to position yourself better, get high ground, avoid shots, etc. And right now you can't do any of that.
Yeah,
Correct.
so it sounds like a two-piecer, right? The Nitrons and the heavies. I like the idea of a grenade launcher on a light. We were talking about this yesterday, I
miss it.
believe. Not on in its current state by any means at all. I do worry about the grenade launcher being have too much screen shake, too much damage, too much recoil, like that bounces you around. I want a grenade launcher that actually bounces, not is a projectile.
like the T2 grenade launcher would be
I love
perfect
it.
for the
Or
for
like
the
all
light
of the
right now.
all of the other grenade launchers.
Yeah, so I want, because again, what I was saying before with the chain gun, which I do think the chain gun's pretty decent. I want more utility as a light. I don't want more spammy weapons per se, like where you're getting a lot of chain guns and snipers and all that, but I also don't think we should only be honor fusing either. So I think a grenade launcher will help me clear off those mines on the stand when I'm coming in fast if I'm going on a solo cap. But it shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't be solo capping. You should have some teamwork. So no, I'm kind of going back and forth a little bit now, but just being a tribes player, I want a grenade launcher. That's just selfishly speaking there.
Yeah, I'd like to see, like I said, I'd
It'd
like
be
to
great
see
for
the grenade
chasing.
launcher be way close. Yeah, for chasing
that'd be
specifically. That's actually the main reason why I want it. But I would like to see it be more like the T2 nade launcher and less, say, the Tribes Ascend or Midair grenade launcher. I feel like those are still a little on the spammy side with really big AoE and shit. I'd like to see it be a little bit more of a precision weapon. And you could even put it in the third slot also to make the light choose between that and the sniper, the BXT1 from my other suggestion. I think that would be a way better loadout.
That'd be cool. I like that swap. Yeah, because if you had a disc launcher, your bread and butter for the up close in the air. You got your sniper rifle, the long distance, medium distance. You got your grenade launcher, which is all well rounded. That's a fucking crazy class to have.
Adam, I think these discussions are fantastic.
Where's the butt?
What should we try and continue to move through these a little bit quicker? Because if we spend 30 minutes on each,
It'll be 6 hours.
At some point I have to eat dinner. That's the problem.
The one with the most thumbs up or something.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Here's an idea. Go through and just get like the top 10 most discussed topics and stick to those.
Yeah, or just whichever
Can I
ones
sort
Adam
and view
wants.
recently date posted, listed, gallery. I guess I could do gallery. Oh, gallery. Don't do gallery. That makes it worse. So I can't really look at most thumbs up, can I?
No, you're going to have to scroll
You
through
just a
and
quick
pick 'em.
scroll will tell you though. There's some
I mean,
with like
just
double
scroll through
digits.
them and figure out which ones you want to reply to.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is like, is our objective is to like give feedback on every single piece of feedback, or is it we just want to have good conversation on things? I'm more on the latter side, but
Yeah.
Okay, here's a couple of good ones, right? One of the contentious ones is health regen.
really, there's that.
Yep. Another contentious one is physics and movement in general. And let's see.
Let's do the
is
physics
the
movement from
response.
Binswees.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good one to talk about.
Which one?
It's at the top. Or wait, is it? It looks like
It's
at
near
top
the
for me.
top. It's near the top. You got to scroll down a little
Which
bit.
one?
Physics and movement by
Okay.
Binswees.
Yeah, you're like, oh, it's at the top. So which one? Oh, well, it's on the
Binswees
top.
has some
Which
very
one?
strong opinions. Very strong opinions.
It
Oh,
starts
man.
with physics, movement, Binswees. Got it. Cool. There's 8 things here. 20% stronger gravity. Double jet pool. Is there anyone that doesn't think we should have more jets? Let's start there. If
I don't
not,
want
then
more
we can
jets.
move
Nope.
on.
I want less jet.
You don't want me going any faster, and if you give me more jets,
You have to be
I'm gonna
trolling,
be going
right?
faster.
Either less jets
I'm
or,
trolling.
or bigger maps. One of
I'm
the two.
totally-
but
I'm totally
it's
trolling.
way too quick.
All right. I
Wow,
feel pretty
okay.
good that everyone has the same consensus of, yeah, give us more jets. Double, maybe. Something. Give me something. Double DJ impact. Double? I maybe using the word
It's a
double
little
is
extreme. Yeah, that's a little
yeah.
extreme.
I think in both extents, like double, you're making a point, maybe not to the exact extent. Ski boost. Does he mean when you hold down spacebar that little jet you get? Okay.
I think this. I think this is actually a really good idea because it's not giving them a speed cap, but giving light a little extra boost when they start. I like that one.
Yeah, no, I think these are neat. I'll play around more with those. I don't have a hill to die on how fast it should be, but I like that it exists. It's not consistent though, and that bothers me.
I will say about the energy pools, because I was against this initially just because I was short-sighted and didn't really think about the implications of the change. But now I realize, from at least from a capper perspective, that the more energy isn't actually going to change anything about the high-end speeds of capping because of the speed caps and the way the maps are designed. So I'm only going to be able to go the same maximum speed regardless. The only difference is that extra energy will make it easier for people who are messing their routes up, and it'll make it easier for people that are dueling. So I'm all for it.
I do
Thrust
feel like
pack?
the dueling is low. Like, we need a little bit more float. That's where my only issue is.
Oh, if you ask for more float, they're literally going to hang themselves, because every single person has been like, this game feels way too floaty, and they've been
I don't think he meant
struggling their
floaty. I
ass
think he
off.
just I think he just meant being able to.
just more time in the air.
Yeah, I just want to shoot the disc like 2 times or 3 times while we're that feeling where you go both were hovering, looking at each
Yeah.
other, trying to midair each other, right? Like,
When I was playing Lack Rabbit on Tribes 2 just earlier today, if I was like, dude, look how I've been jetting in the air for 3 seconds. I still have half a pool left, and because I felt like I can have a little 1v1 Z-axis duel. Then it was like ground pound, get an MA, ground pound, get an MMA. Give me a couple more. Real quick, Bloodmass, you say, why aren't the devs answering the feedback? Because
There's
they
way
need
too
to
much.
still do their job still. Being able to reply to every little piece is just a dedicated person in itself. I'm guessing, I'm assuming, I got to make it very clear, I'm not prophecy, even though some people like to assume that. But I would like to see a way for them to be in these discussions that we have. So maybe do more of these tribal banter discussions where maybe we take 2 hours at a time to talk about the hardest hitting ones. But I know for sure they're reading this. That has been very clear to us, not even from them typing anything, but with how the patches have been
The
going.
changes. Yeah.
Also, look at how derailed and off topic a lot of these discussions get, and how trolly a lot of these discussions get. If the devs jumped in and gave any opinion about anything, that shit would turn into a riot. So there's a very good reason why the devs are not interacting in these threads, but they are listening. They are we are positive about that. It's very
I
obvious.
think they could do a better job just letting us know that they are listening, because we know they are. They just
Sure.
Yeah.
I
be
won't argue
more
that.
explicit about it. Yeah, I would agree.
I won't argue that. I think there is room for the conversation, but I don't think we need somebody in every single feedback forum that we have here.
a thumbs up would be cool,
but-
though.
A thumbs up would be great, or an eyes emoji.
Can we go into the thrust pack here?
Yeah.
I don't like the current thrust pack. It works. It gives you what you want, but it just doesn't feel great.
They call it a speed pack and get rid of the idea of calling it a thrust pack, because you do not thrust with it. You don't use it to thrust. You only use it to speed up.
Yeah. To me, I was watching, I don't know what to call him, the Japanese character guy, I always call him. I was watching him chase, and he was like thrusting, and it seemed like he was like instantly at max speed, literally across the map in less than a second. And it just felt, it was like, I feel like he should have to use his disc launch for that. It seems a little.
Well, if you do
too quick.
use your disc launch for that, because I spent a shitload of time chasing at the end of the test, and I basically could catch cappers on back to fronts even 2 seconds after they grabbed. I could go faster than cappers as a chaser. I was passing them most of the time. That seems to need to be dialed back a little
It should be like
tiny
half
bit.
your speed bar, and then the disc jump completes the other half, right? That thing just feels like you hit the speed cap instantly, and then you're like stuck there.
Oh no, you go past it. You almost 200 speed past the speed cap.
Yeah,
And then you come
I
back
don't know.
once you land, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, next thing on the list is removing speed caps.
I agree with that entirely. They need to cap speed with map design, not with physics.
Oh, sorry, correct. What I think you mean there is they need to cap speed with map design, and also by having physics that's like consistent and reliable. Like, it should be harder to get speed for a medium armor than it is a light armor, because you weigh a lot more. It doesn't actually feel like you do in this game. You just have 10% less
Well,
jet,
I guess-
or
I guess-
5% less jet.
Yeah. More specifically, I'm saying that they should not hard cap the speed limit through physics.
So-
Yeah.
So what if they took the route where it's like, all right, we'll remove your speed cap, but we're going to make it harder to get speed.
Nobody would like that. I can already call it right now. Everybody's going to hate that.
I would
No-
hate it.
Yeah, nobody likes having to work really hard to start routes. That's why everybody hated capping in Tribes Ascend.
So this is where I wish I had Erez in here. God, it would be awesome if he was just lurking in chat and just jump in here. And it was just like, why? So give us a reason. Then ask the question, then why do we have a speed cap? What are you trying to do here? Are you trying to stop us from going too fast that people won't be able to kill people on a new level and then they're breaking the sound barrier or they're going way too high up in the sky? Or if we did remove the speed cap, would you want to gimp it because you don't want people to go that fast unless they took 30 seconds to finally get that speed? I'm on team remove speed caps too, but I just worry about if you remove it, what comes instead.
I say we remove it, and then we just remove it the way it is right now, and then next update, we try to balance it after we see what people do with that. If people are going 5,000 miles an hour and they like are clipping through the map and lagging, then let's find other ways to slow that down. But I'm with you guys. Speed cap it feels stupid to disc launch and just hit it and not get any momentum, like any extra momentum.
All right, here's another thought to add on to that about speed capping is that maybe the reason that it feels like it sucks is because it's too easy to hit it, right?
Correct.
Maybe a speed cap would be fine if it was at such of the high end of speed that like almost nobody ever got to it anyways. You know what I'm saying? And to be fair, they are moving more in that direction because all the previous tests had all kinds of goofy shit in them that would slow cappers down like just arbitrarily and randomly. And that felt fucking awful. So yeah, it really sucks to be going real fast and accelerating and then all of a sudden just some invisible force slows your ass down. Regardless of how they solve the problem, that is not the way to do it.
That is not a solve, yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And
by the way,
speed caps made me flee Tribes 2 and to go back to Tribes 1 within 2 weeks of playing the game, and I never went back to Tribes 2. When they implemented speed caps in Tribes Ascend, there was basically a riot and they had to go back on it. History is pretty much a good guide for what the future might be like, and I don't think there's very few people who want speed caps in this game. There are people that think it shouldn't be easy to go fast, and capping could be way too strong. If offense is way too strong, then exactly what Zio says, we have to find ways to balance it, but speed cap is very stifling to creativity and fun.
Let me touch on that too, because one of the very first things that entered my head when I went into the playtest early on and found out there was a speed cap was like, I felt like the little child inside me was just being crushed, like being told that Santa Claus wasn't real. Because I'm like, yeah, because the whole reason I love Tribes, the reason I've been playing this game for 20 fucking years is because I have the creativity and freedom to figure out how to go faster than other people with how I play the game and with how I design my routes. And it's like in this game, designing routes is like almost pointless. There's very small reasons and niche reasons to come up with very specific routes. Otherwise, you really don't need to. You can just make it up on the fly and then just grab from any angle.
Shaz in chat might have a counter to that. I tuned into his stream and he was like messing around with these weird ass nugget routes.
Nugget routes are fun to play with.
Yeah.
I don't mean for utility, right? There is utility reasons to come up with different routes, but the actual act of routing to find that maximum speed, that doesn't exist anymore, right? It's just all you're doing is you're finding a route to hit the speed cap, and then that's as good as it needs to be. It doesn't need to be any more efficient.
I want to see someone in the chat. He has all the nugget routes. I want to see those. Like
I was watching his stream. He was very drunk, but he was hitting them.
Even better content. Hell yeah. Just take that, clip it up, and throw it on YouTube. Which, Fish, maybe you and I could talk a little bit more on the need for us to get more folks out there, like we've been saying on the side. I'm also a little disappointed you don't have Tau on top as a tag on your stream. Shame on you. You.
In my stream title? Why do I need it in my stream title?
It doesn't need to be in the title itself. You need a tag for your stream.
A tag. I see the tag. Okay, I got you. Can we put a bow on this really quick?
It's not me that you need to get.
Let's put a bow on this one.
We have 2 more on this thread if you want. Like,
okay.
Real quick. So I would put like add more to the jet pool and remove speed cap seems to be like most people
unanimous.
Say that 100%. Don't have the jet pool regenerate at different rates depending on if you are skiing or in the air. I realized that very quickly. And I agree. Why? Why can't we regenerate? Why do we have to be on the ground to regenerate faster?
That's a thing? I didn't even realize that was a thing.
A lot of people didn't realize, My extremely cynical take, and I think this is okay to say because Erez said it to us while we were all on voice chat during some of the early playtests, was that he doesn't think standoffs are fun and had a really hard time chasing people. It feels like there's a very intentional design philosophy in the game for we want to keep people closer to the ground than previous Tribes games. That is evidenced in the fact that your jets regen faster when you're on the ground, when you're skiing, than they do when you're in the air. It's also evidenced in the fact that our jet pools are absolutely tiny, and any Tribes game feels like our jets are super tiny, and anyone who's even new to the game feels like they're super tiny. I think it's evidenced in the fact that we have this little speed boost when you start skiing. So I could be like, obviously I don't know for a fact that this is exactly why they've done this, but to me it feels pretty intentional that they want us closer to the ground. I would love to hear from them, like, why?
What's interesting, Fish, is that I think you nailed it on the head there, but in the same breath, I feel like we're actually in an interesting position now because we're 1 foot in their vision and 1 foot in ours. They capitulated on a bunch of things, and so now we have all the things that they said they didn't want, which is cappers that can almost go stand to stand and go really fucking high and really fucking fast. It's like they capitulated on things that they said they wouldn't, but then they kept other things to combat the things that they ended up giving us anyways. So it's a weird, like a little mixture of both visions right now. And
we are, and I think I was saying that this morning in an earlier chat with, what was the topic? But it was something around the fact of, it was the verticality of the game. At the very beginning, it was very clear that they were saying they didn't want anybody to go too high because they don't want new players to be like, how the fuck do I kill that guy?
There's also a skybox. I forgot that. Yeah, that too.
But then as time trends on, that thought is gone, and so we're trending in these directions. So we are in that midway point of, they had this really strong vision at the very beginning. We play tested it, we bashed it, we gave feedback, then it started getting iterated, and now here we are in the middle, or let's call it the middle, and we're questioning the things that still exist, such as speed caps and such. And it's from where we were before, it makes sense, but for us to get to where we want to get, it's just taking time.
Imagine where this game would be, APC, if you, me, Fish, if all of the people, Vaxity, if all the people that were in those little private tester groups, if that didn't happen, imagine what we'd be playing today.
I will be the devil's advocate and weird on this one, which is, in theory I don't like it, but in practice I haven't minded it too much because I've been able to alter my routes to once I realized that, I was like, oh, well, I'm in the air, I can use all of my jets with very little repercussion because I know it's going to come back when I ski. I'm not saying I'm for it, but I'm saying I don't hate it.
Wait, what's the it here?
Oh, regenning faster on the ground than in the air.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't bother me at all. To be honest, it's weird, right? And I'm like,
Band-Aid is another one of the 25 Band-Aids.
Yeah, but I don't think that Band-Aid... I think that, here's the thing, is that sometimes they make Band-Aids that they think are going to do something, and they don't, and they're irrelevant. They end up actually not doing anything. So yeah, they're a Band-Aid, but they're totally useless Band-Aid. For instance, the BXT-1 sapping your energy. I've never once been stopped by somebody with a BXT-1 on route where they hit me, and then now I can't ski or fly.
Yeah, I haven't gotten that yet.
It does not do what they think it's going to do. As a capper, at least, I've literally not noticed the energy drain literally at all. It makes no fucking difference on routes whatsoever. But in the duels, right? That's what I keep coming back to when it comes to the jet pools and the regen and all that shit, is that it feels like shit when dueling, but I don't even notice it when I'm capping.
Yeah, I agree.
What other topics
my
you
thing
guys
is,
go to?
if you remember back in the day, I feel like you used to have to like go to the big hill, start your ski run, and now, I don't know, like at the beginning of the playtest, I felt like the jets weren't enough, but at the end, I had no issues with jets and the way that it feels. I don't know. That's why I say I'm not really like a more jet pool kind of guy, but I do agree with the dueling thing.
That's probably because we're getting used to it, right? Like the more and more you play with something, the more and more you start to just accept.
And adapt and learn, right? It's not just about accepting. It's about finding out the nuanced differences. And I was going to touch on this. I'm so sorry to interrupt you, APC. I'll shut up after this. But when
don't worry.
Okay, when what Zio said about the... Fuck, see, now I forgot what I was saying. I just interrupted you and forgot what I was saying, bro.
Yeah, so be more rude and just say what you want to say.
Okay, next time I will.
Cool, let's move on, and then I'm sure you're going to talk over someone else when you get this thought, so we'll wait for it. Health regen. I guess I'm not surprised to see this one, because health regen was nice as a capper in TA for me. I'm like, cool, I got sniped, or I disjumped and used an explosive Nitron, I got all this speed. I'll just get that health back. Hell yeah, dude. As a capper, I'm in. But I understood the problems it brought to the game, right? Like, I was supportive of it because I enjoyed my capping, but I was not supportive of it in the core sense of the game. And I think what the game is today without health regen is so much better than if there was health regen. I am team no health regen, hands down.
Oh, okay, I remember. Okay.
Blitz!
Yeah, no, I got it.
Blitz!
All right. The concept of what Zio is saying about, okay, at the end of the last playtest, I started to get it, right? It started to make sense to me. It started to not
All
be
right,
so
chat,
difficult,
Blitz
right?
is
I feel like because
dominating the
people are
conversation
so
right now.
used to
I'm
being
like
good at
this close
tribes
to wanting
or,
to
or
kick him,
knowing
but that's
tribes, and
just
they've
me.
played it for so long, and they've got so many thoughts inside their head about what tribes is and what tribes isn't and all this other shit, that when they play a game, they expect things to just work right away, right? And I've actually noticed this a lot in Tribes Vengeance and Tribes Ascend. This is a constant thing in the Tribes community, is that people don't give themselves time to adapt or improve or learn new things. They write shit off immediately. And I'm sorry, but there is nobody in this community that is prodigy level where within 10 to 20 hours they're going to be doing shit that they would be doing at 400 to 500 hours. Like, it takes a long time to figure shit out. You're not going to be a great capper in 10 hours. You're not going to be a great chaser in 10 hours. So your feedback should reflect that. And everybody should at least have the self-awareness to know, okay, this is my feedback off of my initial impressions, but that very well could change as I develop and adapt to the things that are different, right? And like in one of the first playtests, perfect example of this is the capping. It was the playtest right before the play. Okay, it was 3 playtests ago, and the light capping, everybody said they didn't like it, right? Everybody's this feels like shit.
Bad.
They're like, it's so bad, blah 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 blah. And then they changed it, and everybody's, oh, I like this so much better. I went back and I played that offline because I had both playtests still installed. So I went back and I played the playtest where everybody said light sucked. I could cap so much faster in that one because I had developed more skill. Yeah, I was grabbing at 250 easily without a disc jump and without a pack. And it's nobody was able to do that in the amount of time we had for the playtest. I was only able to do that because I'd been playing the game so much longer now that when I went back to do it, I was like, holy fucking shit. Not only is this easier, but all of our feedback was wrong because we only had 6 hours of playtime to give that feedback. So nobody had enough time to actually develop the skill to hit the high end of it. We need to give more grace.
Yeah, I think we
That's
were saying
exactly
that
where it is, and
we were
just
saying
think
that.
of T1 going down Rain Dance T1 a heavy. You go to the top of the Rain Dance little base, down that little chute, right? You start your run, and then you disc. You try to hopefully make it over that first hill. We didn't have any jet, and it was skill, and I think that's what it is. And I think you hit the nail on the head there, Blitz. This is what we need. Is the community needs to remember it's going to take you time to get used to this new feel, and once you feel it, you may find that I feel currently it's too much jet. I feel like I don't have any issue with jet except for the dueling. That's the only issue, but I don't know if that's actually jet or not.
It's actually interesting to hear you say that, though. The first playtest, I felt like there is no such thing as capping in this game, and it's all about clustering because of how shit light was. But the point of the matter is, we need more time to test these things. Wish we had a server up to play the next 2 weeks, but we don't. For the health regen, anybody differ? Anyone else think that health regen should be in the game?
No, I think it just
I think
enables it to me. It just enables you to disc jump many more times when you're on a route than is necessary. You shouldn't have to DJ 5 times to do a good route. That was how it was in TA. The only reason that worked is because you had health regen. Let's not go down that path again.
Let me play devil's advocate just for fun, right? I agree. I'm not the biggest fan of health regen, but one of the reasons that the health regen exacerbated capping in Tribes Ascend was because of the lack of a speed cap, right? The extra disc jumps and regenning isn't going to do shit to help your top end speed at the grab. It's just going to help you do your routes a little bit faster.
Yeah. No, I see
I
that.
think people's complaints will be fixed when they add the inventory station and your HOF, your half health. You just go hit the inventory, you're back at health. That's what we're missing. And we do have the nuggets, so I'm not sure why everybody's so adamant about this one.
I feel like Tribes 2, you have your health kit, and if you didn't, holy shit, that would hurt. But I know it's hard to, how do I word this without sound like I'm rambling? I don't like being starved of health. I don't like being like, I have no health, and therefore I'm going to die very quickly. Therefore, I should not use my disc jump. There needs to be that middle ground of, I'm disc jumping, but I still have enough health to grab without feeling like I'm going to die regardless of, who's on the stand. I think the way the game is right now, it doesn't make me feel that way. If I use a disc jump, I feel pretty good. And I get enough speed for me to grab the flag or, blink into it or have somebody coordinate and throw the flag to me or do the distract. I think there needs to be a punishment for you to get that disc jump or that explosive grenade. If you could get a nugget on the route because you got lucky and someone suicided right in front of you, you got lucky. The c'est la vie. Like that happens sometimes. RNG is all over the place. Look at freaking Battle Royale. So you never know when you're going to find that golden weapon. but I find it really hard to believe that health regen will make the game better in any way.
Yeah, I
It
agree
can,
with
but it
you.
won't.
I don't think it will either. And also to your comment about disc jumps, I feel like disc jumps don't have the like the cost slash payoff like that. It's not. It doesn't work, right? Like it still damages you a pretty significant amount, but it's not giving you that significant boost in speed.
Is there a way to go to the top?
I
Well,
just- I
at the
could just give
bottom?
you the rundown, basically. I mean,
You'll do that for us?
yeah, I would be happy to. All right, okay, spending that whole day chasing was actually where it became abundantly clear to me that this system is just dog ass. And it is for so many reasons. And I think people really are missing the real simple shit here. It doesn't matter what position you're playing. Every single position at some point will be out of, or every single role will be out of position at some point and need to K out to either dynamically change into a different loadout for the play, or to get back into position, or to switch roles to go do something else, or whatever. There's a million reasons why you would need to K out, and you just can't do it. You just can't. If you went and did a play and now you're quarter health really far away from the action, it's like you literally have to slowly ski yourself to go find a nugget and get back into the action, because that's technically faster than finding some place to hide, recalling, hoping you don't get interrupted, and then starting from way back behind the base. It's not good. You need to be able to recall in the air, or at least initiate the recall in the air. And it's fine if you get interrupted, but taking that from a 5 to 7 second respawn or whatever the recall is and putting it all the way up to 15 because you die, that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, in mid recall and someone killing me, the 1 second left and then killing me, now it's 16 seconds for me.
Technically, it's even longer than that because it's the amount of time you spent trying to find a place to recall, plus the amount of time for the recall, plus the extra 15 seconds.
No, if I'm recalling, it takes 8 seconds, right? That's the number? And then if someone kills me, that's also 8 seconds?
No,
So-
it goes all the way to
No.
15.
Yeah.
When someone kills me? No, only...
No, when you recall.
If you go to recall and that timer starts counting down, you count all the seconds, say it was like 6 seconds or whatever the time is,
Sure.
and then there's 1 second left and somebody kills you, that will restart to a full counter now.
Yeah, to 8 seconds. It's not 15. 15 is only when you suicide.
Oh, okay, you're right. So you're right, but it adds up to about the same amount of
So
time.
that's
is what
okay.
I'm
So that's
saying,
my point. Recalling 8 seconds, getting killed by someone 8 seconds. The numbers could be wrong, but you get my point. Killing yourself is 15 seconds, but if you recall in the last second someone kills you, that's 16 seconds. That's broken.
insane. That's
So all that is a problem to me. I want to be able to do it in midair. I'm wasting time if I'm not able to do that. You should not be able to cancel out of your recall. I think at first I was like, I want to be able to do that, but I feel like that could turn into that can introduce problems of its own.
It will.
But give me 2 or 3 seconds of recalling. I think I remember thinking about this with tribes and what would the next one look like. And K'ing out is so natural to us, suiciding and whatever we called it, right? But to a normal gamer, an average gamer, a casual gamer, a new gamer, that it does not. Why would you want to kill yourself? That your life is precious. That adds to my death count. No game do you ever try to kill yourself for a benefit, or at least not to the extent that tribes. So the idea of recall is so smart. I think that really helps at least. Oh, I'm just recalling a MOBA. I'm going back to base for a benefit, right? So I think the idea of recall is neat, but it can't be as long as it is. It ruins the gameplay. At least give me a chance to try it, right? At least give me a chance to play test what it looks like if we're going more fast-paced of K'ing out and giving me 3 seconds instead of 8 seconds. You've been quiet.
Yeah, no, I like initially it felt so bizarre to me that you couldn't K out in the middle of the air. You couldn't respawn in the middle of the air, and that it took so long. Over time, I started to get a little bit used to it. If you look at a game like Tribes 1 LT or Midair, which is basic Midair 2, which is basically LT mode, I'm probably respawning 35 to 40 times in the course of a 15-minute match. Like, I am respawning constantly. It is such a critical and core part of the gameplay. I don't think we need to go one extreme or the other. I don't think we need to go to 2-second respawns. You can respawn wherever you want instantaneously, be back in the action, because frankly in midair it does lead to a lot of just absolutely cluster gameplay, especially
Sure.
This is a deep cut because probably not a ton of people have played midair here, but like on a game like Twilight, or on a match like Twilight Grove, wait, what is it called? Twilight Grove? Am I making that up? Yeah, TG. I love playing standoffs. I think standoffs are some of the best things to do in any tribes game, and they're especially fun in midair, but they actually can be very frustrating to play on TG because you respawn so quickly and the respawns are all very towards the back of the base. So my take is that there could be a middle ground, and I weirdly didn't hate the recall mechanic as much as I thought I would. My personal take is I wouldn't mind a 5-second recall or even a 6-second recall, but you should be able to do it in the middle of the air. I don't think this whole thing of, oh, I'm recalling and I can still be killed and it'll reset the timer of my recall, that just feels very weird to me, but I wouldn't mind a slightly longer recall.
In Tribes Ascend, it was 5 seconds. You killed yourself, you immediately died, you respawned in 5 seconds. The timing was actually about the same. The only difference is that you could do it whenever you wanted, and it was instant.
Just to be clear, all these are mechanics in a game that we're talking about, nothing else. These are all game mechanics.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think we've ever complained about Tribes Ascend and how being killed took. So if that's... I would like to go there. Can we go back to Tribes Ascend and see how it feels in Tribes 3?
I've played a lot of games like Enemy Territory where you respawn in like waves, and sometimes you wait like 15-20 seconds for a respawn wave. I don't mind that in the right kind of game mode. So anyway,
this is the first one of its kind I've seen. Should phase rifle be hit scan? And there's not a single thumbs up. It's 35 X's.
Everyone's on the same page there.
Don't give us hit scan, please.
Okay, that's good feedback.
Zero
right there,
hit scan.
Right?
They don't deserve. Tribes 1 had hit scan. It was just
Dirty
kind of weak.
cheaters.
What don't you want? Hit scan sniper. All right, noted.
Yeah. There you go.
Remove passive reloads. That got 73 thumbs downs. No red X's like the phase rifle did. That one just got a massive red X, but this one has 73 thumbs down. It says guns should have to be reloaded in order to reload and not reload themselves automatically. I had hoped this was a bug, but apparently it's a feature of some Tribes games. Are we all thumbs downing this one too?
Yep.
Yeah, I think it feels fine. I don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Oh, here's a good one.
I don't have a strong opinion on this one, to be
I
honest.
think this is a good conversation. Is 5v5 is too boring, 12v12 is too chaotic. What are the thoughts on that? I think that's a good place to discuss.
One of them I agree, one of them I don't. I'll start with the one I don't. I think 12v12 is fine. I don't think it's too chaotic. I don't feel like I can't cap or I can't... Defending's a little hard, but it doesn't feel impossible, especially if I have a little bit of help with a heavy on flag and they have a dome shield. You have someone mortaring from the center? Sure, go get him. If not, then yeah, it's Tribes, right? What Tribes haven't you played where there's someone mortaring from a distance? It's part of the whole thing. I need a target painted. I don't think... Yeah, it was Doom.
Deploy beacon at waypoint.
God, he's so good at his job. Doom, if you're listening, get in here.
Yeah, for real.
But I feel like it's not too chaotic where it's just, I can't get anything done. I actually have the most fun playing that, which then goes to my point where I agree 5v5 is not fun. It's not it. The size of the maps might not... I got to say something after I say this thought, but I don't know if the size of the maps serves 5v5 well. I don't know if it's like even like the respawning and all. Like the way the game is built today does not feel great for 5v5. I want to try 7v7 in its current state, but I say all this because when I queue up for a 5v5, 19 out of 20 times it's 4v5, 3v2, 3v5. I can't get a fair game, so I can't.
Yeah,
I guess
that was my point.
Right,
I
so
didn't,
I
I didn't
get
experience a true 5v5, so I can't even comment to it because all the lobbies were, yeah, like exactly like you say 2v5 or yeah.
We have a
so
good.
It might
we have
work. We need custom
Yeah.
servers. We need pugs. We need to be able to play it fairly at 5v5, and then I could be like those words I just said last week, and we're playing it next week. I take that all back. I need a better test.
So
Agreed.
Shaz is in your chat right now. If you don't know Shaz, he's top level TA player from Europe, mid-air player. I think he played like every Tribes game. Anyway, he said that he had 5v5s that felt amazing in EU when a bunch of great players happen to be on. The more experienced people have you have the better, it seems. First of all, Shaz, it's 4 in the morning and you're watching a Tribe stream. Good for you.
Yeah, what the hell? What are
Thanks
you
for
doing,
joining
dude?
us. It's probably 3 a.m. right now. I'm not
What's up,
surprised.
Shaz?
I'm not surprised to see you here. Second of all, do you have a link to a VOD where you streaming when you had some good 5v5s? Because I'd love to see that. Because I'm in the same boat as Adam. Like, I didn't even have a single fair 5v5 game ever. I never had a good 5v5 game.
I had a few. I had a few,
'cause-
and they did play out. I would say I agree with Shaz. I think if you had 10 Tribes players, 5s actually felt excellent.
Cool.
But I would reserve judgment on that, like full judgment on that, until we
Yeah.
have pickups and we can try 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's try them all. There's no reason not to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so,
think we
like, in the
won't
game
know.
current-
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I think the game in its current state and what we're testing and how we're able to test it without custom servers and all, then we kind of default to 12v12, the chaos and trying to queue up in the same server and have fun. And yeah, like we had an awesome server where we're going against all the T1 guys and it was only our group of 3. Yeah, we lost 5-0. I'm not proud of it, but I can also say I only got 3 of the people on my team out of the 12, and they weren't really doing much, right? But I think it was fun still. Regardless, I still had fun. I'm curious, like, Blitz, it sounds like you don't like 12v12.
No, not at all. That's not at all. I honest to God feel like the shadow of my Tribes Ascend competitive gremlin is still hanging over me because everybody assumes that everything that I think and say is comp focused, but it really isn't. I just want things to be unified. I actually think the better option would be to find some middle ground between 5 and 12 and have both casual and comp be the exact same number. That would be my preferred way of doing things. But I actually had a shit ton of fun in 12s, whether it's like farming kills or chasing or doing whatever. Like I had a great time. My personal bias is that competitive tribes with roles is the highest tier of gameplay you can get. So I'm always going to want that regardless. But I did have fun in 12s.
Yeah, my general take is that like Shaz said, if you have a full server 5v5, if you have a full server of like high level players, 5v5 probably feels pretty good. And at the same time, I felt like 12v12, it's crazy. 12v12 is a massive tribes game. Like that's bigger than T1 usually was. 10v10 was how we played base, and that felt like a lot of people. Yet even in 12v12, it didn't necessarily feel overly chaotic, which I was shocked by. I think 50% of that is the game design, and percent of that is that most of those players were relatively new players, or I shouldn't say new, but not like high level, quote unquote. I sound like a fucking asshole right now, but not quote unquote high level players. So I think we won't know for sure until we have private servers, but I'm erring on the side. I almost said edging. That wasn't the word I was looking for, but I'm erring on the side of like I'd like to see 7v7 in the smaller maps, and I feel like the bigger maps could almost go even bigger.
Oh, I would like to touch on that real quick because I remember APC, you said something earlier about the maps being too large for 5v5. Yeah, I think that's a maybe, and I think that there's definitely something to be looked into there, but early on, I don't know if you remember this, one of the very first pieces of feedback I gave was that they could cut the maps in half. Both Catabatic and Crossfire, if cut in half, I think would play amazingly for a 5v5. It would be nonstop action.
Blast side.
Yeah, but I do
Iron
like
side or blast side.
I have fun on that Kata map capping. I feel like it's a good size for me capping, right? In that role, it's fun. It has some good, nice bowls, curvature, and all that. There's no like crazy back to front, which I'm not against back to fronts to be clear, but I'm also not like team must be back to fronts or else it's a bad map. I think Kata is a good map to cap on for 5v5, but when it comes to thinking of everything else, chugging through the middle of the map and there's only 2 people on defense or whatever, I just want to see how it plays in a pug atmosphere. Like I said, when I was in the middle of my rant, I was like, you know what? I probably should have started with this, but I ended with it.
Stork, who's a T1 player, says 4-second recall and maps cut in half would be decent for 5v5.
That would be fun, dude. And I think that would go down the route of LT, right? It would feel more clustery than it would. Yeah, if you're out and I got killed on the stand, I'm dead weight. I have nothing. It's a 4v5 right there for the next 15 seconds because I was able to get across the flag or get across the map. I died on stand. Now I have to get back to the other side of the map if I want to retrieve it. It slows down the game a lot, and I think we want a more fast-paced gameplay for 5v5 competition. Fish, so I pulled up this. It's yours. It got a lot of thumbs up, though I do feel like we talked mostly about it already. Is there anything here that you want to highlight?
No, I guess to just recap the post, it's me saying I'm really happy with what we've seen from Prophecy to date. Because every week for the past 5 weeks consecutively, the game has gotten markedly better. That is almost undeniable. I've seen a couple posts saying, go back to the last patch, but I don't know. I really disagree and feel that 95% of people are enjoying this patch better than the last one. However, I do think it's incredibly strange that 95, 97, 98% of the people I've talked to just think that the game would be so much better if we just had 50% more jets. I agreed to an extent with a lot of what Binswees said in his post about physics changes, but I believe that the game would just instantaneously be 25% more fun if we had 25% more jets. I think one of the only people I've talked to who disagrees is actually Zio, who's in chat right now, who doesn't feel like we necessarily need it. But I think that might be more of an artifact of you feeling like it's too easy to go fast, and it might make it even easier to go fast, which is maybe.
You know what? I'll tell you my 2 cents with that, and it's essentially that I went and played midair too, and I was like, I felt like I had infinite jet, right? And my main thing is I feel like a lot of these guys who have these comments, like yourself, I think you were probably playing some midair too in your free time, or maybe some midair, and you're like losing touch of the T1 feel or the T2 feel, right? And I feel like my only thing is I just feel like we should try to get used to this a little bit before we, crank the jets up too much and then we end up with that. And maybe what we should do is we should have a crazy lobby A/B test where each lobby is like, it shows us like, okay, jets in this lobby is going to be 50%, and then just let us play and then analyze our statistics and figure out what we actually like, not based on our opinion, but based on our actions. And that's how I would approach it.
Yeah. I'm actually not of camp we need 2x the jet pool. I'm of camp we need 25 to 75% more, probably somewhere in that range. And Desolo, who just released an awesome video last night with Blink Pack capping, says, as a capper, I don't feel like we need more jets, lol, so I might be missing something. I think you're right. As a capper, it doesn't really feel like we do need too much more jets as an experienced capper, but that's only if you start your route absolutely perfectly from spawn. If you get stuck in the middle of the map, I feel like you are not doing any. And for newer players, like I was watching Co-Carnage and I was watching Fatality and all these other Fatality, literal esports legend in Quake, and he was stuck to the ground. He wasn't going anywhere. So I think right now capping feels strong. Yeah. And it doesn't feel like you need more tools as a capper because it's already very easy to go fast. But it's also, the fact also remains that you can barely even get onto the base on mountains if you use your entire jet pool. You just bait up there, which just I don't think is intuitive or natural for like newer players. For older players, it just feels a little bit of frustrating. And then to Zio's point, it takes a lot of the fun elements of tribes dueling out, of floating in the air and trying to hit each other with mid-airs, which you really can't do in this game.
Why I think something like Ski Trials is going to help the new player. You got Co-Carnage jumping in there. Like, he's played Tribes before, so he's probably a bad example to pick at. But if you're seeing that there are people that you were watching on stream that were stuck to the ground, whether it's Fatality and such, then I think Ski Trials allows them to understand that, like, you need to do it a certain way. You have to go through this hoop. And the only way you do that is by using your jets properly. I strongly think that's a great way for us to get people on the right foot.
I just want to reiterate something I said earlier for anybody in the chat that maybe didn't miss it, but DeSolo, for you specifically, if you're still listening, is I felt the same way you did initially, but now I think I've come to the conclusion and realized that more jets won't actually make cappers faster. It's just going to help people that need the help. Anybody that's already going really fast and min-maxing their routes, the extra jets will be useless and won't do anything to help you.
Yeah, DeSolo, if you have your montage handy and you want to put it in chat, I'd love for you to show others. I think others should see what you're capable of. I think you're probably the best capper in the game right now. I'm sorry. I haven't seen you play, though. You're playing at odd times compared to mine. But DeSolo is doing some cool next level shit. And I hope others people at least saw his montage. In hearing that, yeah, he doesn't feel that way. I feel the same way, too. The more I played it, I got, 35 hours on me. I'm just getting used to it. I'm coming to terms with it, and I'm adjusting. I'm adapting, all those words. I still would like to try it with more jets just to see. Maybe it's too much. Maybe it's the same amount of. I'm sorry, Shaz. Don't hate me. Please love me. But I'd love to see maybe it's more upward movement. You're lighter, but then you have the same amount of jets, right? Tinkering with more than just the jet pool and see how the physics play. But I'm okay with the way it is today. The impact collision leniency. I'm looking at something that Altamar put a video. And we talked about this in the early days of, I think it was like the thing that we said the loudest in the very first playtest was like, everything you learned about tribes and skiing, forget it. You could just land on the flat land and continue the same amount of speed and not crater. That took forever for me to get out of my DNA when I was playing this game. It's a little different than it was before, but it's still super lenient. But I don't hate it. I think it's one of those, I think I was saying to you, Blitz, and a couple others in the early days, there's hills that I'm willing to die on, but for the sake of a new player to enjoy in the game, I'm willing to give up some of my tribe's DNA.
Yeah, I think it's actually
it's one of them.
Yeah, it's irrelevant actually, because again, I was the exact same as you, but the more I realized is that as long as they have a speed cap, it doesn't really matter. Because I want to be able to go as fast as I can possibly go by efficiently skiing as well as I can. But if there's an upper limit to how fast I can go, then landing on weird angles, it doesn't really make a difference. It's not like I can exploit that to do things that I shouldn't be able to do. It's just I'm going to be coming at the flag at the same speed regardless. And if that helps new players learn how to play the game, then I think that's probably more important than some abstract high level skill thing where you're trying not to take damage when you ski. If anything, I think the only negative side effect of it is that it exacerbates rabbiting a little bit. Maybe you should take fall damage if you have the flag.
Interesting thought.
Sounds like a Band-Aid, but a
I was
Band-Aid
gonna say
I could get
Band-Aid, too.
behind.
Dude, it is.
I could get
But we're
behind
playing
that Band-Aid.
Tribes 3, the Band-Aid.
I could
that's
get
what
behind
this
that
game
one.
is.
Go ahead, play it.
My thought on this
yeah,
is
go ahead.
that as a developer, I look at this and I think when you're asking for these things, you're like, keep in mind that some of these things, when you're changing physics and the way that the ground feels and stuff, it is so complex for these guys to fix and try to adjust that you're asking for things that are 6 months of work. And in Unreal Engine, this isn't the same engines we're used to, right? So it's going to feel different. I think we're just have to get used to it.
Someone asked, what about rock bounces? It was fun and accepted in Tribes Ascend because of the nature of like how the game in the meta was.
Snipers.
Yep, exactly. And we didn't have any more live service to the game, so we just made do with what we had. I remember we talked about banning rock bounces. In fact, I think we did early comp, and then we just allowed it to be a thing. But it doesn't need to be in this game. It needs to be physics based. We need to fix the core game if we're relying on rock bounces. Rocks should not have this trampoline effect to it. It should be a rock. It should hurt me or stop me.
Oh shit, that's the newest perk, trampolines.
There you go.
Oh.
Well, to be fair, honestly, in this game, you can bounce off of pretty much anything except a rock. It's everything bounces you except rocks, and I don't know a lot of the technical details of game design, so I'm literally talking out of my ass here and just guessing. But I have a feeling that particular issue they're probably not going to be able to fix. I bet it's more complicated than we think it is.
All right. So everyone's team leniency. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'm team leniency because it makes it easier to get going fast for newer players. Obviously, it's something that needs to be adjusted over time and looked at. Like, I don't think we should just say it's going to be like this forever because maybe it doesn't need to be. But if I have to err on the side of super punishing physics like Tribes 1 or Tribes Ascend, where one tiny mess up in your route will completely kill it versus the way it is in this game, I'm going to choose the way it is in this game.
Also, I have an interesting overarching game design philosophy point to make here is that I'm pretty sure the most popular games out there, especially if you look at a game like Call of Duty, they don't punish you for doing things wrong. They just reward you for doing things right. And I think Tribes needs to lean in that direction. We don't need to punish people, slow them down, hurt them, make them lose health. We don't need to punish them to teach them the ways. We just need to positively encourage them and reward them when they do things right. And
yeah, it's something with a game design mechanic that I was saying for years. And fun fact, during COVID, I actually wrote my own Tribes pitch. I still want to show you one of these days, Blitz and Fish. One day we could do it too.
That sounds awesome. Let's do it on stream.
Maybe that actually might be some spicy
that'd
content.
That'd be fun.
Maybe it'll be like a sub goal or something where it's like I'll reveal my Tribes pitch because I have a 10+ page design doc, and then I created like an actual pitch, like in a PowerPoint, and I was like, this is what the next tribe should be in the most bite-sized way. But one of the things I comment on is minor victories. I think in every game, let's say a battle royale. Why do people love battle royales? Even if you don't come in first, you're still queuing up. It's like when you drop, you get to pick your location to drop first off, and you got that freedom. And then you drop, and then you get the gun, you get the R301, my favorite in Apex. And it's, I got my gun. That's a minor victory right there in the game. I got the gun I wanted, and you're searching for it. It's all RNG based. And there's all these other things that can make you want to re-queue again, right? So what is that in Tribes? What are those minor victories outside of going fast or getting that MA? And I think that's where like people like the cha-ching noise, right? That's a little like minor victory. They're like, I got the cha-ching, I got the MA. So I think being able to incorporate those things into the game is necessary in any game for design.
Hey, for some of us, midair is a major victory, okay?
There's nothing like it.
Everybody, yeah.
Especially
the
in this
dopamine
game,
hit.
dude. I feel like this is the perfect segue to our next little the thing you have up on the screen right now.
You
I
wanna
can't
cover
hit
it? Because
midairs
I
for
actually just
shit
clicked
in this
on it.
game.
Spin fuse a projectile spawn location is too inaccurate. So I haven't read this yet, but it has a lot of upvotes. Does anybody know the guts behind it, or do I need to read it?
Why don't you play the videos? I don't know if that'll help.
All right, so here's.
It'll help me because I heard about this. I didn't know what they were talking about.
I think what they're talking about is like when you're moving fast, like the disc just doesn't feel like it's coming from you. It feels like it's coming from behind you, or it just feels like the old school days of T1 where if you had a little bit of lag, like the disc would
Is
just
this
come
the
out of nowhere.
inheritance one
Yeah,
or the non-inheritance? What are we talking about here?
Isn't this a factor of inheritance? And Tribes 2 is. I was just playing it, and I was playing Lack Rabbit, and when you're flying up in the air, that gun looks like it's shooting from underneath you.
Yeah, I remember going so fast that the disc, you were literally faster than your discs so I don't know.
Okay, if you guys were watching on my stream, or at least on the screen, you could see that instead of the disc coming out where the reticle is and like out what seems to be the barrel of your gun, it's like coming out from like underneath you to the side of you, depending on what direction you're moving. And so the topic, I guess, is going your projectile spawn location, or like where it gets launched out of, should be more attuned to where your weapon model is.
I have no idea if this is a visual bug, if it's just a visual issue with the trails, if this is an actual bug, netcode, lag. I don't know what it is, but I have not figured out the disc launcher in this game. Like I can't hit midairs at all. It might just be me, but just something feels weird about the discs. I don't know. I don't know if it's just a feeling or a placebo thing or an actual issue with the game. I
kind of feel like
I mean,
it's placebo.
A lot of people are saying latency too, which, dude, I have not been in a game of Tribes 3 without having ping at least of 90. Now, I'm a West Coast guy, and the servers are probably East Coast. That's probably it. But every time I ask other people what their ping is, I've never seen them have low ping. Did anybody else have that problem?
I'm in Canada and I have 120. But
Yeah.
what I
Seemed
will
like
mention
everybody
there
was
is
at 90,
that
100, yeah.
yeah, what I will say there is that keep in mind that there's a giant, like Tribes players is a huge subset of European players or guys from Australia who were probably playing in the North American pubs probably, and so they were probably playing with 300 ping, and we were essentially being forced into that. And so a lot of people's like complaints about netcode, in my opinion, are actually because we let these high ping players play with us, where in like traditional games like Warzone or even Tribes, right, when you have a server list, you sort by ping, you join the low ping, and that's how you play. But unfortunately, we're stuck in the middle, and I think that a lot of technical people don't get that, like that. Yeah, you play Warzone, you're paired with people in your region, like that's how matchmaking works, right? Unless of course you're with some foreign friend or something, but for the most part, they try to pair people to the region. And so I think this will get better when we get more players and those guys have those regions to play in and we have our region to play in and everything's hunky-dory. But
That's what I'm saying.
No,
It
I'm
sounds
the
like
only
you're
one that says hunky dory.
sounds like you're way
Sorry.
more technically inclined than me, but all I'm saying is netcode has improved in the 25 years since Tribes 1, so it shouldn't feel like Tribes 1 when I have 90 ping and the disc comes out in a weird place.
Yeah, and like I seen someone like they got like minimum 60, 70 ping from Texas, and so if the server was Atlanta, that's terrible.
it's Microsoft
routing.
Azure, so is where they've got it. So
Yeah, and then what is it? Alcohol was saying he's from Philly and he had 20. That's the first person I heard under 50. Thefts. Oh, that flag IFF. It's so bad. Even when if you see someone capping with a flag, they have the flag IFF on them, which is massive. It doesn't go over their flag IFF. It goes above it. So you don't know if the person's actually going to cap it because they could be floating over it or they could be capping it and the IFF stays above the stand flag IFF.
Adam, I completely agree with you, but that is actually not what this post is about. If you
Oh, sorry. That's actually hilarious because I actually saw ifs and I immediately thought IFFs.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
When I first saw it, I thought it was too. This is a post all about the Band-Aid issue, basically. This is just waxing philosophic about the band, like all of the Band-Aids in the game. But I could keep talking about it, but this is a really interesting thread to read through. I think there's a lot of really like interesting opinions in there.
How about your other feedback, which Fish, thanks for being a contributor to the Tribal Nation. Flag passing. I got some good thoughts on it. I think this is a good crew for it. I know Blitz is muted, but maybe he's watching stream. But yeah, kick it off.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Flag passing is super weird in this game in a lot of ways. the flag floats. It feels like it has a third the gravity players do. It floats so slowly to the ground and gets thrown extremely far. It inherits your momentum, which is good. I think a flag needs to inherit your momentum, but it's so unpredictable because of how floaty it is. It seems like they've added some vertical velocity to every throw, no matter where you're looking. So even if you're looking like 45-degree angle down, it still comes at a 45-degree angle up, like no matter what. When it hits the ground, it bounces really high, which I was actually thinking about it. It's maybe the amount of bounce isn't horrible, maybe too much, but because it's so floaty, it's just really hard to deal with. It just doesn't feel responsive. I also feel like you don't have quite enough impulse when you throw it as well.
I love flag passing. We all do, at least a lot of us in this channel. I don't hate the physics, but I don't think they're where it needs to be. The only reason why I don't hate it is because I like lofty flag tosses that makes it like
Quarterback throws.
Some crazy ass pass that you could do that. If I just throw it up in the air and I'm like, yo, blitz, I'm all the way across the map, here I come, and he just tosses it up. The amount of hang time that the flag can have and then I grab it just looks beautiful. Looking down that barrel, I love that. For the nature of this game, the flag just needs more weight, right? And not only weight where it's not bouncing as much as it does because it's really funky in how it plays on the ground. And then it doesn't also move around enough, I think, if it's stationary on the ground and you shoot it, your disc barely moves it. I want it to move a little bit more. I was playing T2 and I liked how it was more mobile. It creates more chaos than it is. Whoever's closest is just going to get it. No, I want to deny the guy by shooting the flag and then not killing him. So I want that. I want the flag physics to be different on the ground. In the air, it could be heavier, but I also want to be able to solo. You alluded to this, but if I'm looking down, I want to throw it down. I want my arm essentially to throw it, not just poop it out. And then since I'm flying, it's just going to be above my head. Give me a way to launch it out of me in the direction that I'm looking, which will make flag passing more accurate. Why don't you want flag passing to be more accurate? It should be a mechanic where I need to pass it off to a teammate or give it somewhere. Give me a way to do it in a more sensible way. Sensible is not the word I'm looking for, but I think it gets the point across.
Yeah, I agree with you. All those points, honestly. I had it at one point. Somebody threw it across the map. It hit the one building, and it felt like it just sat in the air forever. It was like, but other than that, I don't know.
But I don't need flag punting. I find myself trying to do it. There was not this playtest, but the one before. I was going so fast that when I was practicing or playing with punting because it was there, I threw it and I shot it at the same time, and I was going so fast that the flag, the latency or something, that I was able to disc jump off the flag in the air because of how the flag was going slower than I was. If that makes sense, right? So I punted the flag. The flag got shot farther, but I also got more punt off it or impulse off it. It was nuts. So that shouldn't exist, but that could be fun to play with.
I think it's going to be fun. I had a punt. I think the heavy, whatever you call it, the dome that you can spawn in the air. I think that's going to end up being used like in some really epic, like crazy ways where you have like your teammate spawn it in the air and then your capper like disc jumps off of it or something like that and ends up with some crazy route. Or I think it'd be a lot of potential.
Oh, I'm glad you guys are talking about the bubble now, because I actually wanted to take things in a spicy direction and maybe debate FishStix a little bit about his Winston bubble thread. Okay, because there's two things that I actually wanted to talk about on the heavy shield thing. Is number one, like the actual functionality of it, but number two, I think that this is where, correct me if I'm wrong, FishStix, and feel free to debate me on this, but the point that I made earlier about how we as veterans oftentimes are very quick to give knee-jerk reactions to things based on the immediate impression rather than a thorough examination. I believe that this actually is a perfect example of exactly that. It's like you got stopped in a bullshit way and immediately were like, this should not be here, this sucks, there's no counters, da-da-da-da. And it's like, I think there's actually more nuance to it than that. I think there are counters to it. I think there's plenty of other takes to be had there. I don't think it's like a foregone conclusion that something is broken just because you had trouble with it one time.
That's fair. I think in 5v5, I would be pretty confident in saying that it's not going to be super balanced to have a heavy armor with a shield that you can't kill on the flag stand, that if you run into them, you die, you take a lot of damage and lose all your momentum. But yeah, in 12v12 or whatever, yeah, you're going to have a couple cappers, you're going to have a couple hose raining mortars, you're going to have a medium armored raining grenades. Your point taken. I still think it's a little bit BS, and it could be balanced, right? If can you kill that bubble? Is my question. So somebody said you could in the chat.
I've seen it pop, and so I also think you can, but this is something that needs like a myth bust because I don't know for certain.
We need a Mythbuster for sure.
Yeah,
somebody
needs
to
get on it.
That's a free
figure it out.
YouTube channel, by the way. Tribes Mythbusters. That's free.
No, we
YouTube
need
idea.
the fuck out of that right now.
That's a good content series.
But
Shit! Write it down quick.
Yeah, get in there.
At the risk of potentially taking this in a different direction, but you make a valid point that I want to touch on is the whole in 5v5 it's going to be extra strong, right? Now you are right about that. However, I actually think that one of the things about this game that is actually really interesting to me and gets me all excited is that even though it's all busted and weird, it actually creates this really interesting dynamic in the meta of having to trade this for that or use this to counter that. And because of the long respawn times, you're more locked into your choices, right? So it's not as easy to just switch and then counter and then switch and then counter. You have to make it work with what you have regardless. I actually find that to be interesting because, okay, let's say they do have the busted ass bubble and they're fucking you up and you can no longer light cap. Now you're going to have to switch to medium cap with the grenade launcher because that's the only thing that you can use to clear through the bubble as far as I'm aware, which means that you'll have slower routes, which means that they'll probably switch from chasing to conking on stand now. But there's only 2 people on D. So if they have a heavy, then they can't have both a chaser and a medium. So they either have to sacrifice chasing or conks in order to have that bubble, because the only way they could have chasing and conks is if the heavy's not on defense. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I actually find that to be a good thing.
Look, in a way, I had a whole nother thread that's in the previous feedback channel that they have for like older feedback, which was like, how do you make tribes fun to play with friends? And one of my main points in that thread was like, give us goofy shit and give us different stuff that we've never had in tribes. So the bubble could be that. If it was more like a Winston bubble and you could easily kill it, I would feel maybe somewhat differently about it. Give us more choices, make us make trade-off, and I think that's valid feedback.
Ban heavy in 5v5 by Stork. Yeah,
Party mode,
thoughts?
64 versus 64 shooting nukes with a chain gun. You could do crazy stuff like.
So there's a world that, based on each patch, if there's something stupid broken on the heavy, say it's unkillable, then in comp we're gonna say no heavies this time, right? It's natural that when big patches come out and big changes, you ban them. Hopefully we don't have to ban a whole armor. Holy cow, that sucks. You could ban packs. Oh no portal.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because I was about to come out swinging and be like, dude, I hard disagree because I don't want to ban things, dude. Let's make comp be as close to the game that everybody else is playing as possible.
12v12 and 5v5 are way different games, and we shouldn't have everything that 12v12 has. I'll say that very confidently.
No, I agree with that too, but that's also why I said that I think that it would, I don't know, maybe I'm asking for too much, but I would like to find the middle ground between 12s and 5s and make that just be the game that everybody plays.
Sure. Yeah, and there's differences in all ranked modes versus the casual queue.
Right, but not banning whole armors, right? That would be like whole characters in Overwatch being banned or some shit. Actually, do they do that? I don't even know.
I think there's like a tease or like a hope that's the case. We did it in Overwatch League where we did hero bans to force people to play not the same characters stage over stage. So there is something there, but we don't have 50 different people to choose from. We have 3 classes. Don't take away 1/3 of the game.
I guess I'm just saying I just don't like that option, right? I understand if that's the direction that we have to go. I just feel like the more stuff we have to ban, the more it shows that the game's not in a good place, right? Make it fun, but also make it balanced at its core so that we don't have to ban stuff. You know, I'd like that to be the option.
But, I think it's very hard to make 5v5 and 12v12 balance together. It's 2 big different games. Whereas in Overwatch, when you're doing
not a comp mode,
when you're doing comp in Overwatch versus quick play, it's still 5v5 today, 6v6 in the past, and you still have the same heroes, you still have the same everything, right? Okay. This is completely different maps, different capabilities in terms of heavy in its current stage. Does the bubble make sense when I only have 2 people clearing versus 7 people throwing mortars and all that stuff? It's way different.
Yeah, I just foresee that. I foresee that causing a lot of contentious debate amongst people who are like trying to organize comp and create leagues and stuff like that, because
We have our work cut out for us.
Yeah, like FishStix is right. Like making the game fun and adding all kinds of goofy, fun stuff is definitely the way to go because it creates a fun pub atmosphere. But then that makes our job like really difficult because now we have to strip down 40% of the game in order to make
Picks and bands
Yeah.
and tribes, baby.
No.
Here we
That's
go. Big tribes like a boba, baby. Come on.
All right, so I've had
Bubble
this
is
on
that
my.
big of a deal if it has a good cooldown because let's just think about this for a sec. Like you're in a comp 5v5, the guy's got a bubble, he's using it, you can't get through. What if you just send a second medium capper to essentially cause him to pull the bubble, and then you have your other capper as soon as the timer runs out. He has like a 30-second cooldown on it, plenty of time. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
There is so in Overwatch, just to keep it going on that thread, where Zenyatta he has a ultimate, and it's to keep everybody safe for 5 seconds. When you're making a push, one of the things you want to do is pop the ult. You want to force the Zenyatta to use his ult in a time that he doesn't want to, right? In the case of this with the bubble and the heavy, you want your medium offense, so whoever's distracting, to get that bubble popped and that ability done, so that way their capper who's 10 seconds out doesn't have to worry about it.
Or you just have DeSolo, who is like using the blink mechanic, grabbing the flag and then blinking out of the way. Or like he sees that there's a bubble or like the house on the flag, so he goes off to the side and then blinks through it from the I don't know. Yeah.
Is it true that you can actually launch a mortar from your base to the
Yes.
opposing team's base? That is insane. Yeah, that's a problem. That should not be a thing. You should not be heavy offense and Hoff at the same time.
Yeah, I also felt like that. I was practicing spam spots, and I was like, okay, yeah, it's broken. It's like, that's not right.
That's incredible. So I've had this up on my screen. I just have to do. I was laughing in the middle of a conversation you guys were having, and not because you guys were having the conversation, but because I read the line about melee weapons. I'm like, yeah, I want that. Guy goes, can I get a chainsaw or something? Please?
Yeah. Get a skin and not actually be a chainsaw, but by the
that
way,
would
that
be
was
amazing.
one of the great additions from TA, in my opinion, is melee. I
Yeah.
miss melee.
Yeah, I think melee is there's a place for it. Doesn't need to be anything substantial. Make it a little bit of a tickle, like 3 chain gun hits or something. If I have the flag, like in Halo, you can hit somebody with the flag. It would be freaking cool if I could swipe with the flag. That's just
Make that an insta kill, bro. If you got the flag, why not?
It could be
Come on.
Yeah, Alcohol, you're right. Small boxing gloves like you can get with the Pathfinder for Apex and all. Like people wanted that shit. That's the thing the ultimate thing that you get in Apex. What are they called? Heirlooms. Getting those heirlooms, and you got that little switchblade by Octane and all. That's definitely something you could sell, and I would buy or chase. Right? What if you have to get a certain rank to get a certain, like in Overwatch, you have to keep bringing it up, but it's where I came from. Golden weapon. You have to play comp long enough. I think that's a nice way to. I was talking about things that grind, your dailies, your weeklies. Why should I play comp? Because if you get 50 wins, you get to unlock a golden weapon.
Yeah, golden skins, let's go. Platinum, all that. Add it all.
Yeah. And I really hope if the devs don't do this, I hope that the community is able to use an API to create things like the Wilder Zone had, which was your just database of leaderboards. I loved looking at, oh, wow, I'm 86 on the most MAs. And I don't want it to just be lifetime. I want it to be last 7 days, last 24 hours or whatever. Like, everybody loves to, this is the other thing I put in my design philosophy is everybody's proud of something of what they do in a game. Me, it's capping and going fast. And the ski trials let me show that off and say, hey guys, look how fast I did this. Beat me. And phrase like, I did it. I'm like, shit, now I want to chase it, right? That's what I want to chase. And I want a leaderboard to show that. You had, was it Icewinds, who had the most MAs in Tribes Ascend? You want to take the guy down. Or if it's not lifetime, what about the last week? Because I have next week all off, and I want to hit the leaderboard. I think there's a huge thing. It's like the minor victories thing, where give me something to brag about that I'm good at, even if it's not something that's core to the game.
Yeah, I repaired more generators than anyone else. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why not? That takes that guy who's nobody even. The comp scene looks at him like, why is this guy repairing the generator? But he's on the leaderboard. There he is, best generator repairer. It's like he's got something to be happy about.
Yeah, so I really hope we have something like that in game too. In game, the better. The more that we could do in game, the better.
It's like overbuff or like Dota buff, basically. If anyone knows what that is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I just laughed at Smirks like, oh, I'm 13th. I'm being MA'd.
Why not? Yeah. Why not just have a bunch of goofy leaderboards that emphasize all sorts of stuff? Not only that, but it'll also help us identify sketchy people and weirdness.
Server should be drop in, drop out. And I think what they mean by this is right now it's you queue up and you only get put into a server unless you're filled up, right? Unless there is a 12v12. Drop in, drop out is like you basically have a server browser, or you click queue and you just put into a match, and if there's only 6 people and it's a 12v12, you're able to play.
Yeah, like warm-up phase or something. We could run around, shoot each other, and then once they get 12v12, the match starts or something like that.
I'm not against it. I think the reason why it exists as it does today is it's expensive to just have servers up and running. Whereas the way it works today right now is a server is not on until it's needed. And the reason why it takes a little bit to join a server sometimes it's, I have 15 servers spun up right now, and you're requesting a 16th. Give me a second. I need to turn it on, and I need to get the files downloaded or ready to go. I don't know the intricacies, but that's how it works in a way. And then once the server's ready, then it puts you into that server. So they only have to pay for those servers for the uptime that it's demanded versus it just being up 24/7. So it's less expensive doing that. I'm speaking out of my ass. Don't start asking questions like how expensive is it and all that. I don't know, but I'm fairly certain that's how it is. And if you can reduce costs, that's a way to do it.
Yeah, but we had just... I was afraid. I never wanted to play 5v5s because it was always 5v4, like you said, or 5v3 or 3v2 or whatever. So yeah, like for the next playtest, we need backfill for sure.
Yeah, I will say to that comment that just so you guys know, like I've been dissecting the API already, and there's totally an option in here called backfill lobby, and it's set to false.
But I do want to be able to leave a game if I don't want to be in it anymore without having to get put back into it, which then begs the, hey, me and my friend left this 5v5. Somebody should backfill for me. It's a bad experience, and maybe they want to refrain from that bad experience, but a backfill is necessary at least on the casual front.
In a comp, it doesn't make sense, but in the pubs, it totally makes sense. Get people on, or allow us to switch teams. That's the other thing. If one team is down players, let me switch. Like that's old tribes to me. I always was the guy who switched to the team, the underdog.
Blood Eagle for life.
Yep.
Blizzfish, you guys getting tired? It seems like
no. I could keep going a little bit longer if we want to.
Is that a challenge?
Blitz doesn't.
No, I don't want to
tired,
challenge you, dude. I went to bed and woke up and saw you in the same Discord channel with Tribe still playing. I was impressed.
These routes aren't going to make themselves.
Blitz, I sent you a PM. You should check that.
Grenade launcher is too spammy. That one got a decent amount, and I think Bloodmaster, you're in here in chat. Semi-auto and reloads the whole mag at time, promoting you to spam all 4. Hard to miss with it because it explodes on impact and doesn't bounce. I hard agree with that one more than anything. And has no inheritance, so you can unload the entire mag on the same location easily. Yeah, I don't like grenade launchers can be spammy, but there needs to be not a projectile that blows up on impact unless you're from a really far distance. Again, we keep saying the Tribes 2 grenade launcher. I think that one had a design pretty well. Yep, at least one of the 3. I agree. Deathmatch. So actually, game modes. There's so many game modes. I was talking about this a lot yesterday on my stream. One that let me start with this. There shouldn't be a lot of game modes because then it will really separate our audience, which is already small. So the more game modes you create, the more micro communities you create, which then diversifies us too much. We need to keep it in a narrow funnel. So let's not have 5, 6, 7 different queues. Let's have 2, 3.
That's easy. That's super easy. I know the solution. Just 2 game modes. One that is killing centric, one that is objective centric. Problem solved.
All right.
You could also rotate them and essentially force people into them, right? I don't know.
Look,
actually, I don't know if I like it like that, but
I didn't love it, but the TDM flag mode in Tribes Ascend I think is probably the best like noob game mode or casual game mode you could ever come up with because it involves skiing, flying, mid-airing, and flag play, but it's still killing centric.
So I could see there's 12v12 casual, or maybe it's 16v16, whatever we end up testing next. You have your ranked 5v5, which maybe you need a casual 5v5 so you could play 5v5 before going into ranked. And then you have ski trials or something that's like solo PvE mode, right? You don't want to go against other people because I think it is actually really important that you're able to just jump into a match and not have to worry about being the best or getting killed or any other outside circumstances, that you can just go into a map solo, practice your routes, or into a ski thing. I do like the idea of a death match or something, which I love the game mode. I'm so surprised we haven't seen it in many other games before, is Team Gauntlet. I was talking about this yesterday. Team Gauntlet is, let's say Blitz has 3 people on his team, him and 2 others, then versus me and 2 others. Each person on the team has 2 lives. And then starting off, it's me and Blitz 1v1. Everybody else is in the spectator mode watching the duel. I, of course, beat Blitz, but Blitz did 50% damage to me. the next person immediately, once Blitz dies, jumps into the arena and tries to finish me at 50%. And if they're able to, then the second person in my team is able to fight. And you keep going through that rotation twice if everybody has 2 lives, 3 if it's 3 lives. And then whoever is the person that, or the team that survives, wins, gets the point. I love that concept. Anyone against it?
I'm for it. It sounds feels like a little complicated, but I definitely miss Arena from T1. Arena was a lot of fun. Another game mode that we talked about, I think last playtest or the one before, was basically like Tribes meets Rocket League, like one flag in the middle of the field that both teams are going for, and both teams are trying to grab and either bring back to their base or dunk in a goal in the enemy base. I know like it's Team Rabbit too a little bit, but I would really like to experiment with this game mode because it would focus the entire server on a single objective. I think it would be easier to understand for new players. I think it would be easier for new players to stay on objective, and it might be good for esports too because it's just a little bit easier to follow the action potentially from a third person or even first person point of view. I'd love to see that game mode experimented with.
You'll like when I show you guys my pitch one day. One of the things I did have is one flag CTF. And for what you said, Fish, is like, how is it easier? How can we make Tribes easier for the average Joe? And it was trying to think of many different levers to pull. And one of them is Tribes is a little chaotic, right? There's so much going on at once. Do I defend? Do I attack? Do I deploy? Do I repair? All these things, which, cool, let's keep it chaotic. That's fun, casually, but maybe that's deterring people. So I was just trying to think, one flag CTF, but what if, maybe Praj will love this, if there's an attack and defend where you're on the attack for the first 4 or 5 minutes, whatever you want to do as a time limit, and then in the middle there's a flag and there's another team on defense and they have to try to defend their flag, and then I bring it back to the hoop or whatever, and how many times can I capture the flag in 5 minutes? Okay, I did it 5 times, switching sides. Now let's go and see how many times you can do it.
Overwatch.
So how would that work? You would have a border in the middle that stopped the defensive team from going offense, or how would that play out? Like,
so think of a square, and I always said Team Rabbit 2 tubes, but let's just say the respawns that we have today in Tribes 3, you could select where you can respawn, so you can select how you attack, and then in the middle is the flag stand, and that's where the defense starts, and that's where they have some kind of like bunker that they respawn in. And so setting up your defenses, let's say it's 30 seconds, the defense starts. Defense can go wherever the fuck they want in that square. And then on offense, I spawn from wherever I want, and then I can attack the flag however I want.
I've always thought that I actually pitched a very similar idea to the midair crowd, and it never really got any traction. But I've always thought that having a round-based offense versus defense would be a great way to introduce people to Tribes who aren't familiar with it. And round-based gameplay with like small 3-minute rounds or something, and you got to win the best of 5. Like, people are much more used to that than they are like the way we do things. So
it breaks Tribes at its core, and I hope anyone like listening, it's just theory crafting at this point. I want to try new things, but I still want 2 flags like 5v5 and pass around and standoffs. I don't want the standoff mechanic that we have now. I want to be on a standoff that isn't rabbiting, and just to be very clear and not get crucified. But it's fun to think about what a Tribes would be with one flag round-based objective.
I have a spicy question. Maybe? I don't know. Actually, I feel like we'll be pretty on the same page. But as a bunch of really competitive Tribes players, what do we all think about vehicles in general?
They're there for the noobs, and I think they need to be there for those. I think there was a certain subset of T2 players, for example, that for them, when they came home after work or school and they played Tribes 2, it was actually a vehicle game for them. It wasn't even like what we think of Tribes. And I think as we remove those things, we remove that. Even if it's a super niche little subset of the player base, this is Tribes. We need those 10 people. And I don't want to get ran over by a Shrike every 3 seconds, just to be clear. But I do think that vehicles there is a place for them.
I was actually just thinking about this a minute ago, and I really believe that the way we see Tribes, the lens at which most of us see this game, is by far and above the minority. The majority of people, they don't even ski and go fast. They've never run a route. They don't even think about the game like that. Most people are playing this like a arena shooter with jetpacks and jetting from point A to point B, maybe skiing along and stuff, but they're never really zooming like we are. They're not playing the flag. They're not clustering. They're killing gens, killing turrets, fighting people midfield. That's the bulk of people that play this game.
Yeah. My comment on that is that if you were a Tribes 1 player and you do truly remember it, all the veterans are like base, that's what they lived, right? But if you go back and think about that server list and sort by players in your brain, it was Shifter Mod, it was Renegade that were like these giant, ridiculous servers that were just, it wasn't the Tribes we remember. But if you think about it, that was most of the population in T1 was modded servers and like this weird versions of the game that people didn't even know existed, like Tribes RPG or CK Fun or these weird like mods that, again, these are, they're not our core audience or our core people, but I do feel like we're pushing those people away, and it's not the end of the world to just allow them to have a force field or a turret to place, or again a vehicle.
Now, should vehicles be how it was in Tribes 2, where there's just a limit to it and you could buy as many as you need as long as you don't have a limit, or as long as you don't hit your limit? Or should it be TA based, where it's credit based and it's a team pool?
I don't know about that. That's a balancing conversation that's different, but I think that as long as I can kill the station, if I go kill their generator and they can't get a vehicle, it's problem solved, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That just means you need heavy offense.
Good point.
You got to keep those gens down, and you're fine. That's Tribes. Let's go. Let's take on the gens, and away we go.
In terms of how many vehicles you're allowing on the field at one time, I think that's easily solved as well. I think you just stay in line with their current design philosophy and you limit it based on its utility. You can have X amount of grav bikes or X amount of strikes. You can only have 1 or 2 tanks, the same way they do it with the armors. That way, at least it makes sense and it's staying within their vision.
And just don't give us the Shrike with the run over crap. Don't put that, please. You can make something that's powerful, but I don't want GTA flying around in a freaking jet bike or something stupid like that. Let's still keep it to Tribes.
Yep, you put it the way that I just said. Yep, you're absolutely right. If we're going back down the traditional Tribes route and we have generator play, and we were saying how can we make the gens more potent, there you go. Take down the vehicle station, right? And if there's a Striker who's just wrecking everybody, or there's a Beowulf tank and you have Thea in there and just destroying everybody, then yeah, you want to get those gens down to prevent that from happening.
Also, to add on to FishStix's point about making the game fun and creating viral moments with your friends, if anything, I think that's what the focus of the vehicles should be, is for them to be fun. They don't necessarily have to be overpowered. Okay, think about the Warthog in Halo. It's like one of the most iconic and fun vehicles to use of all time, and it's basically useless. You're not going to be like dominating no team. Maybe rarely if you had a good gunner or something. I don't know if anybody played Halo back in the day, but the Warthog was fun. It was just fun to drive, fun to use,
Yep.
fun to play against.
Yep.
And that's what we need.
Yep. Think about the HAPC. Like, you would get 4 of your friends to get in those seats. You're just like, get in my vehicle. And that was totally, like you say, it was like a friend, like it's a party, make the game fun with your friends thing, where it's like you got 5 guys in this vehicle and you guys are useless. Like, you're trying to spam mortars, or like ultimately you're useless. You're not overpowered. You're having fun. That's what it is. And
I named myself after a freaking vehicle, right? Like
This man's name is APC.
Yeah, it made an impact in my life. I loved it, the APC, and being the guy that transported people across the map, even though I was trolling and bringing them to the middle of nowhere. But anyway, I think I like that. I was playing with the VGS system in Tribes 2 because I'm like, man, I miss this. And need a bombardier, like throwing a bomber. Like, I need someone to. I would spawn a bomber. Everyone who's played Tribes 2's probably done this once or twice, where you spawn a bomber, you hop out of the pilot seat, and you sit in the bomber seat.
Yeah,
so I need a pilot because being the bomber was so much fun, but also piloting was fun. But then you need a tail gunner to throw the flares in out there, like. Vehicle play was so advanced in
and if you think about it, it wasn't overpowered because you can just sit on the hill with a mortar. If you're a good heavy, you're hitting every mortar on that flag stand anyway, so it's no different than a heavy on a hill with a flag, or if you're in the sky shooting a freaking mortar out of the sky, in my opinion.
I was watching on Colonel Blair's channel, by the way. Everyone should subscribe to Colonel Blair on YouTube. He has one of the best Tribes channels out there because he's doing great content in this game in midair. But he's also recorded and uploaded 4K resolution VODs from classic Tribes matches through every Tribes game, which is awesome. And I was watching some Tribes Vengeance matches, and I was like, oh my god, I forgot how absolutely game-changing and critical vehicles were in every single way in Tribes Vengeance. I was like, I actually completely forgot about that people were taking the little like hover vehicle and using that around for flag defense, but you could spawn out of the truck. People were using the bomber, people were using the tank, and I'm absolutely for it for the larger game modes. Absolutely. I would love to see vehicles come back, especially for, like I said, again, my thread about how do we make tribes fun for casuals, and I think vehicles is a big part of that.
And then deployable rocket turrets so that you have a counter.
Yeah, if we can bring that the rocket turret song and make it relevant, because the 11th man of tribes, and we do 5v5s.
Rocket turret.
Dude, you gotta
so
have the
good.
rocket.
Oh my
turret.
god, yes, you did this. I've been wanting to see this.
So I didn't do this. Is Fixius. He just linked it. So on
been wanting to
the
see this.
screen, this is comparing all the tribes and their jetpacks.
Oh, I would like to see midair here too, but yeah.
So
dope.
all the way to the left is Ascend. Then you got, sorry, not Ascend, Tribes 3. Then you have Ascend. Then you have Tribes 1. And then you have Tribes 2. Very interesting order on how you did this, Fixius. I would give you feedback on that. But thank you for doing this, because let's take a look when you hold down your jets.
There's room for legions at the end of that.
Quite different. I love the Tribes 2 one where you're like, look at Tribes 2.
Was that a jump jet or was it a proper jump jet?
I'm like, where the fuck? Doc, hey.
Hey, how you doing?
Doc Matrix.
Good. I love seeing your face. Love hearing your voice.
It's been a while, man.
Yeah, dude, I got a pro setup now thanks to Hot Rod. I sound like him now.
That looks fantastic, and you sound like you actually have a voice, and you're not like a bee caught in a tin can.
Yeah, the Doc hit me up. We're catching up on the side, and he's, first feedback I got for you is your mic sucks in the kindest way possible. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I know. But I got a nice little mixer, the Go XLR Mini. It's beautiful. I see the power of it, but also I don't want to set it up too much right now because I'm getting a new PC in a week or two. Just gonna have to set it up all over again. All right, let me go back to the
So
feedback.
far, I'm a bit late to the game.
Oh man, dude, we're just scrolling through the feedback December 14th channel and finding the things with the most thumbs up, and then just talking about it, going on tangents. And then Fixius, that's an awesome video. But that jet thing, that just goes to show for anyone that was watching, and I know there's a couple people in chat that was like, I'm unbiased because I don't have a previous tribes to recollect from. There you go. Like when we say we feel starved from jets, it's just at least double the amount of jets for every other game. It was actually, I didn't realize.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that much either. I'd like to see midair in there though.
Midair is basically Tribes 1 physics for the most part. Pretty close.
Okay, there's a feedback here. I'm not even going to spend more than 15 seconds on it, but VGS system needs to come back. If there's one thing that's obvious, I think it's that one. And not to, I'm not being BM. I'm trying not to be BM here. I'm just more so, yes, if everybody in Tribes saw this post, they would give a thumbs up to it.
There's something with the middle mouse button, right? I haven't played with it too much, but there seemed to be something that you could do.
I hate
you
that.
Can't do
I
middle
hate
mouse.
it.
You can't take that away from us.
And the thing is, it's
sure,
like,
we need the keybind.
They're like, yeah, we put it in the game. I could barely hear it. Everything else is loud, and that thing is.
I couldn't navigate the thing. I don't want to be trying to travel and then be clicking mouse
No,
buttons and try to navigate a wheel. That's just not going to work.
Yeah.
Bloodmask, you have a lot of comments in this feedback, and for better or worse, you're contributing, so thank you. But this one was interesting. I got 20. I'm starting to look at the 20 plus thumbs up ones. Put speed back to kilometers per hour. What do you guys think about that shift from going up to saying 200 is fast to now 600 is fast?
I think
Bigger
it's better.
is better, right?
No, it's better to have the smaller numbers.
I feel like the kilometer, like, why do we have to apply like a speed? Because he says nobody knows what this speed is. It's a freaking video game. You're flying through the sky on a freaking jetpack. There's no way you have any idea of what that speed, that number is anyway. So
Right.
even if they set it to kilometers or tribes per second, it ultimately is just a number.
To be
It's
honest,
good to have
we
the
don't
range
need it.
though, right? So you know where you are until you get that intuition for it. But you're right.
Yeah,
it might as
just
well
leave-
be
just
liberty
leave it.
dues per second or something.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's just leave it whatever it is. Just set it and leave it. Don't change it so that when I'm going 500, it's still the same as last patch.
Yeah, I don't feel strongly one way or another. I didn't mind the numbers. That was one of those things that I would never have thought of giving feedback on before. But here we are, talking about different numbers.
Saying the tribes community don't want to debate even the minutest of details, dude? Come on.
It's fun to talk about. I know people in my chat, they're like, dude, how the fuck are you going so fast? I was like, first off, let me just make something clear in case you didn't see this in the patch. The numbers are different. Oh, okay, I got it. Sorry, someone hit me up that I want to go. No one else is talking. I could tell, like, from the very beginning, we were all Jones in the talk. Now it's
I'm
a little chill in here.
I'm trying to upload YouTube Shorts as we're doing this because I remembered I wanted to do that earlier.
I did that. Like I went to my Twitch channel, just playing around with all the new affiliate stuff, and I was like, oh, my clips. I could turn my clips into YouTube Shorts just by a click of a button. I was like, fuck it. I just connect my account, ship them, and then an hour later, I'm getting like 100, 200 plus views on these things. I'm like, I did not know that we could do that so easily and get views more than my usual videos. So I'm gonna keep pushing those.
Yeah,
shorts.
they're going to surface that to a lot of people. But I guess to reply to you, Adam, I feel like we've covered many, if not most, if not all of the major kind of big feedback areas that I really wanted to talk about today. Churning through these a little bit, but we have been joined by Doc Matrix. So I haven't seen you two active so far in Tribes 3 Rivals. Have you played so far?
So I mean,
let us know what you
a couple
think.
years ago, I moved, right? So I live in Sydney now. So when I play on the NA servers and I'm pinging like 300, that's not what I'm used to, and it is a bit frustrating trying to shoot. So I'm trying to cap now, which is a role that I've never played because my traditional role of turrets and stuff
Same.
isn't really a thing in this. And so yeah, I was talking to Blair and I'm like, it's slow, right? In terms of the ping, like just do capping and that'll be fine. Thing is, I don't know how to cap. I'm trying to watch the streams and steal route. I can see Shaz is in the chat. I was watching his stream and he's already got it figured down pat. I don't know if you've watched Shaz, but he's amazing already. And Fish, you've got it worked out. I was watching you do some 12s the other day and you're doing some good stuff. But yeah, I'm still trying to figure that out. The jets bug me. The latest patch fixed a lot of the physics for me. Like it feels way better. And I can't even describe why. It feels way better. Less floaty. Everything's just way more comfortable and the speed feels a bit more visceral. So they've definitely already starting to figure it out. So I'm pretty happy about that for sure.
Agreed.
But yeah, I hope it's not till launch that we get oceanic servers, man, because I need some sub 100 ping and actually try to shoot someone with a disc in the face. That'd be nice.
I'm trying to shoot you while you're capping, and you're 300 ping. You're like teleporting across my screen.
Right.
It's not fun for either, right? It's brutal.
Yeah.
At the same time, too, like, it was one of the points I was making earlier is, do we want to put Tribes 3 in its current state in front of everybody right now? And probably not, because of impressions, and it's not where it needs to be. And the people like us here that can play every single version of Tribes and get feedback and such, we should. But I want to save all of our gas for a little bit later into the cycle when the game is ready to go to market.
Yeah, we need some more maps because I love it and I'm still playing every second they give me, but on the same map again. Actually, what I'd like to see is just let me play the 5v5 maps in the 12v12. Just cycle everything. Why not?
So when are we gonna be able to play here?
So Eris came into chat on like Thursday or Friday and said the next playtest won't be until January, which the immediate thought was like, oh man, 2 weeks. But then like when you think about it, it's the holiday and the devs deserve a break too. It's a bummer, but
just leave the servers up, man.
That's
They don't
what
have to
I say.
respond.
Just don't
let
turn
them
them off.
run. Come back and they can analyze the metrics later, I reckon. Just leave it going.
yeah, I would imagine it's a cost thing. I imagine
Yeah.
there's only so much value we're going to get from it because we're going to be changing the game dramatically again.
The devs have been working all weekend, like looking at our feedback. It's not zero work to keep the servers up. So
That's the other thing.
I'm fine with them taking Christmas off.
Yeah,
That's okay.
It's not like
Let's come
all
back
right,
in
computer's done,
January.
walk away.
Yeah, let's come back in January to a better game and reinvigorated devs because they did those playtests on the weekends too. So, yeah.
I feel my 2 cents with that is I do feel like, yes, the devs are probably watching, fixing, keeping things moving when we're playtesting, but if they were to essentially walk away from the keyboard, there's lots of potential for people basically complaining it's lagging, it's this, it's that. There's no
Right.
dev there to essentially
have a
reboot
negative
the
effect,
server.
yeah.
And yeah, I think that's their concern.
That's another good one.
Actually, I agree with FishStix here. I think this game needs to go back in the oven for a little while and let it cook without anybody putting their hands on it. Nobody needs to talk about it anymore. You said earlier also, Fish, we pretty much covered literally almost every single aspect of feedback that needed to be discussed or that was really critical. Actually, I think it'd be cool if somebody edited this whole long conversation down to something more digestible and to the point.
I missed it. I didn't see this until about 20 minutes ago. If you had to rank top 3 of all the stuff you went through, where would you land?
Ooh, that's a good one to end it on.
Yeah, that's good.
I would say number 1.
Blitzfish.
All right,
Doc
top
Matrix
3. Yeah, top. At least from what I understand or the way I see things, I would say number 1 of that top 3 is Jetpool, everybody, I think, pretty unanimously agrees that all of the armors need more jets. But to add on that, I personally believe that the lights need more than just more jet pool. I think they need more. They need more maneuverability. Period. However, that's going to happen. And I believe the second most, at least contentious topic that was in the feedback thread had to do with the recall system and how to maybe make that better. And I'm not really sure about what I would consider the top three. I feel like all the rest of them were pretty equal. Maybe it was Nitrons, maybe it was weapon balance, maybe it was getting the balance between all the armors and combat a little bit more equal, how to make gens more important. There was a lot of other topics.
I like how you brought it down. Fish?
For me, the most interesting discussion right now in the community is, I'm just going to be a broken record, but the inclusion of band-aids to make the physics work, make the gameplay like work, rather than actually addressing the core physics themselves and the core game design itself. They've added just so many different band-aids, from speed caps to perks to packs to the standoff mechanic to skiing, regenerating your jets faster than when you're in the air. All of these things, I think, leave us with a feeling of the game feeling somewhat unpredictable, unfluid, and this is just a big part of the online discussion right now. I feel like most of the things we've talked about, like this whole game design philosophy, has a really important impact too. I think for me, that's the thing I'm most interested in continuing to talk about, and to continuing to talk to hopefully Prophecy about and hear what they have to say. I think, yeah, I'll also echo for number 2, just the size of our jet pools. Almost everyone is unanimous on that, except for actually Zio, who's in chat, we've talked about this a couple times already, but we don't need a rehash. And I don't know, number 3, I don't know what number 3 is. What's number 3, Adam?
Oh man, damn it! I was hoping it wouldn't come back to me. I think the team sizes was a good conversation around 5v5s versus 12v12s. Is it too chaotic? Is 5v5s too boring? And we came to the consensus, or at least like a general thought of 5v5. We need more data. We need to be able to play it in a more organized way for us to say 5v5 is, most of the time 5v5s I feel is too chaotic, or sorry, too sparse. It's a 3v5 normally.
Yeah,
that's a map design problem, surely.
Yeah. Then there's a map piece to it too. Yep. And then the 12v12, I'm like, bring on the chaos. Is it too chaotic? Nah, give me more. Give me vehicles. Give me more things to blow up as a heavy and all. And give me 16v16. I'm ready to try it. I think they even mentioned, can we get the servers up to 64 players? So we're doing 32 versus 32, which then you need a better map for that and such. I think those are the top ones. I think, as you can tell, there's a lot of topics. I can tell you the bottom ones were also remove passive reloads, and phase rifle should be hit scan.
Oh, and health regen. Somebody was there. There's a small camp of people that would want health regen back, that we all pretty unanimously are like, nah, we can do without that. But real quick, before I wrap up here, I did step away a couple of times. Did you guys happen to talk about FishStix's feedback concerning flag throwing? Is that something we've talked about already?
We did, yeah.
We did in detail.
I was like, damn, this is a great room for this.
I would say, actually, if the next patch they only change 2 things, I would say 25 to 50% more jets and completely rework the flag tossing, because it's incredibly challenging right now.
Last 2 cents I want to just add is I want just inventories, turrets. I want the noob classes. Bring back the noob class. Bring back engineer. Give these guys like turrets to set up, force fields, vehicles, and it would be really cool if we had to get some of our stuff from an inventory station, whether that's our packs or maybe like some of these classes, like a capper, for example. The gens are down, your capper can't get into his class. That is that makes that noob class now the most important guy on your team.
Dude, I've been a turret monkey since Tribes 1. So basically you're calling me a 24-year-old noob.
I don't say noob class, because you can play turrets very well, and I've seen people play like Tasman, right? That were insane. Your turret placement is absolutely
it's
insane,
a different set of skills. It's a different set of skills.
Exactly.
It's not what cappers do. It's not what chasers do, but it's more tactical, and it's just as meaningful.
I'm an old man. I don't want to like sweat all the time.
Yeah,
I want to put some turrets down.
Still got it.
I would like to see a little bit more utility in the medium class, though, and that goes along with everything you just said. Although I'm not sure about the inventory thing. I don't mind the loadout situation, but yeah, I think they can do a lot more with the medium.
I'd actually love to touch on the loadout system real quick, and I'll keep this brief. But I did just recently go back to play Tribes 2 after not having played that for probably 15 years or longer. And I'm going to be honest, I don't miss having to go to the inventory station to get my shit. I actually very much dislike it. And thinking back, it's like from Vengeance onward, Legions, Ascend, Midair, like every Tribes-like game that I played after that was spawn-in loadout.
Right,
I've just
but I
grown
guess
accustomed to
My thought
it.
is that's where you get your turrets from. That's where you get your force fields from.
Fair.
You don't necessarily have to get all your stuff. That's why I say maybe it's
Well,
like
I
a
agree with
special
you.
pack or like
But
a,
even in Tribes 1, we hacked around it, right? You would run to the inventory
Yeah,
station,
macro.
and you would have a script that just spewed out all this shit out of the inventory station. People just pick up, right? So
Yeah.
aside from changing, I think, armor classes was the only other reason you wanted to go to the inventory station. So I don't think it's ever been a dynamic that's really helped the game in depth.
No.
Yeah, and I think actually I like your idea, Zio, and I've had a similar suggestion where it's maybe if we're going to add inventory stations, we can lock certain side grades behind the inventory station to make the generator more important. That would be a good place to get the honor fuser from, right? Maybe you couldn't spawn naked with the honor fuser. You had to go to the inventory station to get it.
Really interesting.
yeah, or your Nitron nades, for example.
Yeah,
like
the Nitrons,
for
any
your
of the strong
phaser.
stuff, the portal, like any, or the turrets, like any really strong utility stuff can be locked with the generator power. And I think that would, yeah, not really, because that's
I know. I
classic
just had to
gameplay,
say.
but
Yeah,
it's just
I think that's an interesting
version of it.
thought. I like that. I thought that's a really interesting thought.
I love how we're
okay,
like, let's
so
wrap
I
it up
wanna-
with our last 3 thoughts, and then we just come up with 10 more discussion points.
Yeah, no, I actually thought of
only
a
gave
couple
3.
more.
That was
Yeah,
inventory,
I
vehicles, and
wanna
turrets,
keep going now.
and I'm done.
I have to get up at 3 a.m. for my honeymoon.
Oh, shit.
So
Oh,
I'm eating
nice.
packed and all that stuff.
Enjoy.
See, that's why you don't care about the servers being online. You're going on holiday, man.
No, that's a fact. I was like, oh, thank God. But then I have Christmas break off, so the week of Christmas I got nothing to do but play the finals. What I'll say is, I think this type of forum, I know Blitz and we talked about it, and then Fish, you came in hot today and said, let's just do it right now. And I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. I have to leave anyway. So I like this kind of forum where we just get a group of community members to look through the feedback. I think there's another way to do this. I think there's probably a cleaner way, but I like the scrappy old, let's just get in the channel and get people to talk about it until someone becomes BM. I just appreciate the forum here, though. Like this group of people, I appreciate everyone being very mindful, open-minded. Maybe we're a little too positive. You need some more hardcore thought, but I thoroughly enjoyed what we had here. I want to do more of this. I think I want to see this cut up, like someone suggested.
Yeah.
That way it's something that people can find and enjoy on their own time, like a podcast. Like if I was driving 2 hours, I would want to listen to this kind of shit. I'll do that with mine because I have a 5-hour stream, and this only 2.5 hours of this was actually the conversation, so it will get lost. But I'll re-upload it to my YouTube when I can. I'm sure Fish will beat me to it, which is totally cool. But I'm going to step away since it's directly at 8 o'clock and say thank you so much for this, everybody. Viewers, you guys here in the chat, and this group here. This was really fun.
Yeah, I had a blast. Thanks for jumping on and doing this, Adam. Thanks for everybody who's submitted feedback, who's here in the chat. I'll also say Adam is about to go on honeymoon, so congratulations. Also, I see that he's at 9 out of his 10 subscribers goal. So if somebody's got a Twitch Prime sub, you just go drop that on AP Sizzle's chat. Help him get an extra martini in his, or I guess margarita maybe, as you're going off to Mexico. So yeah,
Thanks, man. I appreciate you.
But yeah, it was super
you don't have
fun.
to wish yourself. Honestly, I kept saying if I get any money from my stream, it's gonna go right back into what we do here.
All the more reason to sub.
Yeah, thank you, Doc. Doc with the
There you
Prime,
go.
right here in chat. Thank you, boss.
I need
What a
to use
man.
that thing more often.
And Kappa, thank you. No, but I'm gonna be doing tournaments no matter what. I want to do the ACD versus Tau. I want to do a draft tournament. I want to do a show match. I was even saying, actually, this could be a really great way of doing this. I want to create a belt. I love the UFC, but I want the APC belt or something that people want to strive for. And whoever's holding the belt, I want to see great show matches to fight for this belt. And if you get it, maybe you get some kind of prize pool or gift or something. I don't know, but maybe that's how I can use this money. So I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate the kind words. But I'll
GG.
keep talking if I don't just step away. So I'm gonna
GG.
step away.
Get out of here.
Later.
Have a good one.
I'm going to say goodbye to my stream as well, as I need to get some dinner. But thanks everyone for tuning in. It was fun to chat with you, Zio and Blitz. Thanks for joining. And Doc at the end here. We'll definitely keep doing these kinds of things. I don't know if I'll be doing any more tribe streams before the game is back. We'll see. But I definitely will try and cut this up for YouTube.
I will.
I think I speak for all of us when I say this is not the ideal tribe, our ideal tribes game. Everyone has a different opinion on what their ideal tribes game is. It's impossible to make that because we all have
This
a
is the
different
one we got.
Yeah. But this is
Exactly,
the one
yeah.
we got, as Zio said. So I'm going to be here to support the community as best as I possibly can. If you are listening to this and you do want to support the community as well, I really recommend that you follow myself, APC, on Twitch, YouTube, follow Blitz, follow, I don't know if Doc is planning to do content, but I think we all need to band together to follow each other on social media, promote what each other are doing however we can. Thanks for APC for the raid, even though I'm going to go offline in 2 minutes. But yeah, I think we can really band together to support each other in creating content, support the devs and getting the word out about this game. So I know I'm going to be doing this. I don't want to sound like I'm like a Prophecy Games simp. Like I want to be hard on them too. Like I'm not here to say like the game's perfect, because it's absolutely not,
Nothing
but
wrong
I'm going
with
to
having
support it as
passion.
best I can no matter what.
Yeah, but to go to what APC was saying about being overly positive, this is the time for optimism, right? So I don't have a problem with that.
I agree with that 100%.
Amen, brothers.
All right, take it easy, boys.
You
GG's.
guys have a good night.
Good night.
We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.